Check. Mic check. 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Platform Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dex. If it's your first time tuning in, we thank you guys for watching. You can check out every episode on YouTube or listen on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And today on the show, we got two guys who reside right here in Nashville. Our first episode with two guests. And it may or may not be the first or second time that we've recorded this. But on the show today, we got two dope DJs, dope producers, just put out some new tracks. We got manager Mike and OMGPRKR. How's it going, guys?
So good.
Hello.
And we got Luna getting introduced on the show, too.
Luna
so.
is giving me all the love I need.
Surely Luna's been on the show before.
She was on our episode with Cisco, sitting on the couch, snuggled up right next to me until she kicked the pillow and it landed on her, and then she got scared and ran off.
That's scary stuff, though.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to get into it, talk about life for you guys as DJs, as producers, how you guys kind of got into the music industry from two very different paths for the two of you, and how life's been going since DJing everywhere in Nashville. Obviously, what I just touched on, producing some songs that you guys just recently put out. We'll talk about how those are going, and then just some recent things you guys have been up to. So if we want to get it started, anyone?
Mike, hit it.
Mike's going to start it. So let's how long you been in Nashville? Where are you from originally? And then how'd you get into music?
Yeah, man, I'm originally from Virginia Beach. Well, really Chesapeake, Virginia, but I usually say Virginia Beach.
You claim Virginia Beach?
No, I don't claim it. Yeah. It's just people are like, oh, what's Chesapeake? So I'm like, Virginia Beach. You know, it's all adjacent. But I've been in Nashville since 2005. Came out here just to go to school. And just kind of been vibing, man. I really enjoy it here, honestly.
Where'd you go to school at?
MTSU.
Okay. And what'd you go to school for?
Yeah, I did music business.
Oh, okay.
I initially started doing production, but after like a couple semesters, I was like, man, I can teach myself like this production stuff.
Yeah.
So let me just like get educated in the business side of things. But looking back on it, it was a total waste of time.
All of it?
All of it. Every single bit of it. Because at the time, the music business in like 2005 to 2009 was like in a huge transitionary phase. Like I think that's like when Radiohead and Rainbows came out, and they kind of launched that for the first time, pay what you want type of structure for the release, right? Like you could get the record for $1 or $30 or whatever. So like, yeah, the industry was transitioning a lot heavily at that time. So all of my professors were like, big deals in the 90s. So they were just teaching us the business of the 90s, which was really not applicable to where things were going.
And they didn't adapt to how things are changing.
Well, there wasn't really much to adapt to yet because it was
still happening. Yeah, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like at that time, Spotify didn't exist. There was iTunes, but there was no streaming. So like this was like the very beginning of all of that. And I think the professors were just kind of like, yeah, we don't really know what's happening, but this is what we used to do.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember my senior year, one of like the big things that the professor said was literally they said, hey, we don't really know exactly what's happening in the future, but if you want to be successful, you have to be able to adapt, which is super true, but like,
give us some guidance.
Incredibly vague. Incredibly vague.
You could literally say that in any class, and they'd be like, yeah, he's right. The guy's a fucking genius. Wow.
Yeah. It was an interesting time. But throughout that whole time, I was kind of running my own labels, doing things for my own band. So I was kind of getting my own experience in there. And it was definitely very much from a DIY perspective. Like I couldn't find a label, so I started my own, basically. You know what I mean? And I did between 2004 and 2009 or 2010, I did something like 35 or 40 releases.
Yeah. All from your band?
Not my band.
Okay.
My band did a couple. But I was trying to help out people around me, finding some cool punk band in New York or Chicago or whatever, and just making 300 or 400 pieces of vinyl for them.
Yeah. You still have your label or no?
No.
You dissolved it?
No. Yeah.
Okay. So then what got you into DJing?
Yeah, man. It's just kind of something that just I've always been a music guy. Like I said, I started releasing music in 2003, 2004. And I remember I was managing at this place called Acme back when they first opened in 2014. And we had guys like Coach and Rate and Spice J. They were DJing at the time. And it just seemed like a fun thing to get into, as a guy that loves music. So I went out, bought me a little shitty, the DJ SB2 or whatever, and just kind of started messing around at home. And I was like, man, this is fun. Like, maybe I should just keep doing it. And it just kind of I got better. I started playing gigs. I started getting gigs, and it got to the point where I was like, wow, I think I can get enough gigs to where I don't need to have a real job anymore.
Yeah.
And I made the leap. And I'll be honest with you, that first year when I made the leap, I was not ready to make the leap.
Of just strictly DJing?
Yeah, I made no money.
Okay.
It was brutal. I made I might have brought in.
Did you completely stop managing?
Yeah.
And I assume that's where the name Manager Mike came from?
Yeah. Yes. So the Manager Mike thing, there's kind of two folds to the story. At the end of the night, one night, is actually this DJ Spice J. I was doing my manager thing, closing down, whatever, and he starts singing, Manager Mike, everybody loves Manager Mike. And so people just start calling me Manager Mike.
Yeah. That could have been the first single right there.
Hey,
we can always
sample it. Let's go. And my wife always was like, man, Mike, you should go by Manager Mike as your DJ name. And I was like, I don't know. This is kind of corny or whatever. But I started going with it. And then I did this one show back in 2018, I think, with RJD2 at Nashville Underground. It was crazy. There's only 30 people there. I'm like, what? Anyways, I decided that day I'm going to switch my DJ name to my last name because I have a really weird last name. It's Geach, Gicz. I was like, you know what? It's weird. People will remember it, at least seeing these weird letters together. And I was talking to RJD2 before the set. And he's like, oh, what's your name? What's your DJ name? And I kind of told him that I was thinking about switching over to this other thing. And he said, dude, Manager Mike is sick. Look at my name. My name is RJD2.
Yeah.
This has got to be the dumbest name of all time, but it sticks. People remember it. You should stick with Manager Mike. I think it's sick. And I was like, well, damn, RJD2 says so. I guess I'm just going to go ahead and stick with Manager Mike. Found some flyers from way back then. And it was just the flyer was just house and disco. I was like, good for me. I've been staying on brand this whole time.
Yeah. Because that's definitely still what you're putting out is disco, and still what you like to brand for your nights is disco. I know recently you did your own party at Bar East.
Yeah.
How'd that end up going?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was my first time playing at Bar East, and they're a fairly new venue. But
I've heard good things.
It's a really cool spot. It's super vibey. And anytime I can just go play disco, funky house, for 3 or 4 hours, it's just a great thing, man.
Yeah.
I had a great time. We talked about trying to do another one here again in a couple months. But
still at that same venue, or are you looking at going to a couple other spots, or what?
I'm gonna try to. I would like to do this thing at a few different places.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the right spot that's got the right sound system and the right vibe and the right crowd, because not all venues have the right crowd. I'll have my people that'll come out or whatever, but sometimes the built-in clientele for a venue is not right for what I'm doing.
No, and that's something that we talked about. I just had Nash on here, who works with After Dark and Affinity, and then just had Cisco, who obviously is doing FOMO. And that was one of the common trends, talking to both of them, is finding the right venue to throw these events. Yeah. I know you were just doing the one at 6 and Peabody.
We did that together. We did the
okay,
we did that together.
Where that's just one of the event spaces that Cisco talked about works really well for
Even
that
when we were
event.
there, I remember coming up, because I had never been there before.
Yeah.
I remember like coming up, because I got there a little bit after you.
Yeah.
And I just like showed up and I was like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a cool spot. I could see it like being a place where you could throw a pretty big event.
What's the capacity for it? Because it's an outdoor spot.
I would venture to say it's close to 600.
I would say 600,
Okay.
700.
600 or 700.
But you can move those tables and probably get a few more in there if it's
Yeah.
standing room only.
Yeah.
So, but it's got a great sound system, full production. Like, it's a great venue.
Yeah, because I saw you guys have the big LED wall behind you and everything too.
Yeah.
Nostalgics played there, didn't she? Is that where Nostalgics played?
Maybe. I think
that's
Full
where
Circle-
Nostalgia- yeah.
Full
Yeah.
Circle was doing shows there for a while.
Yeah, I think they've done like some like electronic shows.
But yeah, I mean, that fits perfectly with what you were saying, where just being able to find the right venue that's going to have the right staffing for it,
Right.
that will actually push the event
Right.
and be able to bring in the right crowd to it is a huge part of being able to brand and market nights that are specific to a theme like a disco night. But yeah, you guys, I mean, I guess you've been talking. What about you? How do we get started?
So I'm from Wisconsin, Milwaukee originally, and I came here because I wanted to do music production all through high school. Actually, I funny enough, DJ'd my high school prom on my Tractor S2, the first version of the Tractor S2. The jog wheels were like, pretty sure they're made out of paper or cardboard. Like, it was so bad. And that was like my first intro into DJing. I had no clue what I was doing, but my high school was like, hey, you're musical. Can you DJ our prom? And I was like, sure. And I went on Amazon and bought a Tractor S2 and figured
You just
it out.
bought it after they asked?
They asked me and they gave me like a 2-month lead time. And I went and bought the little tractor thing, and I figured out Tractor Pro. I think it was Tractor Pro 2 at that time. And got myself some music. I think I had like 35 songs total for the entire
Sick.
prom.
How
But,
did you get through the night? Would you
just
just?
let them all play all the way out?
Oh, I was gonna say, would you end up just playing a bunch of them twice?
Well, it was like a 2-hour slot.
Yeah.
So I had, maybe play a few of them twice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was terrible. Very bad. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's fun. Whatever. Like, I'm not going to be a DJ. I thought I was going to be like a professional guitar player, like for my whole life. And so I came to college and I was like, I'm going to learn how to produce music and play guitar. And I wanted to be like a studio guitar guy and just kind of live in studios. And I started doing that. And I realized very quickly that a lot of these guys that I thought I was good at guitar, and I'm okay at it, but a lot of these kids in Nashville are insane at guitar. And I was like, there's no fucking way that I'm going to be able to do. It's going to take a lot of practice to get to the level that a lot of these guys are. So then I kind of really started leaning into the production. Went to Belmont University. All through college, I kind of would DJ here and there. I brought my tractor with me, so
Well, it's so small it could fit in a backpack. So.
yeah, even it could probably fit in my pocket. It was so tiny. And if you were having a frat party, I might show up with the tractor and see what's going on. But I didn't
Were
have,
you in any frats or anything at Belmont?
Well, we didn't really have a ton. When I was at Belmont, it was ATO and Phi Tau were the two.
I'm just asking for myself because my Maddie's brother Josh, who's like one of my best friends,
Oh yeah.
keeps telling me, he's like, dude, you got to pledge for a frat. He's
Well,
like, it'd be fucking hilarious. Like,
You should, because you're,
just because I'm like 30, he's like, it would be so funny.
you're technically a true freshman, though,
I know.
aren't you?
Yeah. He's like, you have to do it. He's like, I will come down for pledge week, just to
man.
see you try and join a frat. I'm
I
like,
didn't join a frat. I used to just hang out with the frat guys.
Yeah.
I was like the honorary frat guy.
Yeah.
I was just there, but I wasn't in the frat. So I didn't have to do any of the dues and the bullshit that they had to do, but I would go to the parties. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can't imagine Belmont having crazy
No.
frat initiation.
No, it was kind of lame. No offense to my frat friends, but it was pretty lame. Especially when Vandy's down the street, hazing their making guys run down the quad butt ass naked, and then Belmont's I don't even know what they did, but it was pretty dumb. But I'd go to the party, and those are really the only parties that would have DJs were the ATO parties. And so that was kind of my first experience in front of proper DJs. There was this guy named Bardo, and actually Billy Cave. He still kind of plays sometimes in Nashville, but they would throw pretty cool events, and they would actually DJ. And I kind of got my first experience seeing somebody who knows how to mix and beat match and all of that. And it always piqued my interest, but it was never something that I wanted to do. I always wanted to just be a producer, sit in a studio, and do nothing all day. not see the sunlight ever. Just brutal, like a vampire. I don't know. And then I got through Belmont, got a job working for some really shitty places. I was doing like independent production for a while after I graduated and producing some really cool artists actually. Pop music, country music, a little bit of everything. And our friend Justin at Underground, who was doing the booking over there at the time. I don't know how I met him. Really, I think I just met him on Instagram.
What is Justin Fustin?
Yeah.
Fustin. Yeah. Good, big homie vibes. Love Fustin. Somehow we became homies. One thing leads to the next, and I'm standing on first floor of Underground on a Saturday night with my Tractor S2. Good old Tractor S2.
Thank God you brought it along.
Good thing I brought it with me, and the rest is history. It kind of just built from there. So I played one Friday, and then they liked me.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of worked on my skills from then on, and it was really just a part-time thing. I was like, I can make some money DJing, you know, and then it became kind of more than part-time, and my job was starting to get mad at me, like, hey, we need you here on the weekends, and I'd be at like Underground, you know, playing
till 3 a.m.
Yeah, so I kind of did the same thing Mike did. I reached a certain point after I had kind of gotten through the infancy stages of DJing, where you're just kind of trying to learn the ropes. And keep in mind, I wasn't like coming into it like never DJing before. Like I knew basics, but I wasn't amazing. I was still like yanking the sync button, which we can talk about that later because everybody knows my opinion on the sync button.
Still are, yeah.
Just flip the table. But you know, I wasn't like this amazing, you know, crazy amazing DJ. But I'm one of those people where I'm like very, very persistent. And like I want to learn something, I get like super obsessive over it. So like when I started DJing, I like wanted to be good at it. I wanted to be taken seriously. So I was like, okay, I need to learn Pioneer. I need to switch to Record Box. Like I need to learn how to use sticks. I need to learn how to use CDJs. I need to, you know, learn all this
Just
stuff.
so you can know everything.
And I like within the course of a month, I was like looking at CDJs on Reverb and like just nerding out about it because I wanted to be taken seriously. And I'm very grateful that I did that because like, you know, no, like that barrier to entry, I think is the hardest part for a lot of DJs. It's just like, I could be good at this because I know good music, but I don't get the technicality behind DJing.
Well, and that was going to be my thing that I was going to ask you is obviously having a musical background throughout like high school and then going through Belmont, learning more about music, whether you're doing music theory and then obviously music production, it's got to make transitioning to DJing a little bit easier because you do understand the music more.
Right.
You understand how the measures work, which is going to make beat matching 1,000 times easier, whether you're using sync or not.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that part has got to be a much easier transition for you.
It's definitely different for me, I'd say, compared to like a lot of my good DJ buddies. So for example, like one thing that comes to mind is that everyone I know uses Camelot for
As far as keys?
Yeah, as far as keys go. I don't. I use like proper keys.
Yeah.
Because I like took 8 years of theory in high school. And so like if something
So you're using like F minor.
Yeah. So like if something is B minor and another song's in D, I know that's like the relative minor of D.
See, and that's how like I look at it. I'm like, oh, cool, 5A,
Yeah,
3B, like.
So I look at it
wouldn't
from
know,
a
like,
little
the
bit.
F
I think I
minor.
look at it from more of a musical standpoint in the sense of like, the one thing that I like about my mixing style is that I try to make everything sound like it's one long song. So like if you ever look at like my set list for like, for example, for our release party, it's all mixed in key. Like the entire list is mixed in key, and then it goes by the circle of fourths. So like I start in B minor, and then I go a fourth from that, and then I go a fourth from that. Because you can go around all 12 keys in the circle of fourths or a circle of fifths, and you could do a whole set that way. So
Which there's gonna be so many people that don't understand what that means at all.
Where there's good parts of that, like being that fucking nerdy, and then there's also like really lame parts of being that fucking nerdy because nobody cares. They're like play party rock anthem. And I'm like, but guys, the circle of fifths is telling me to, you know what I mean? It's just like,
and that's the hard part is because you would think like the general public doesn't know at all if the DJ is mixing in key or not.
right.
Like you could transition 2 songs out of key and still transition them well.
Yeah.
And the crowd isn't going to fucking know. But when you are in key, it just sounds
Clean.
so much more clean. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I don't remember who I was talking to this about the other day, but I was like, maybe it was you that we were talking about. Mix quality doesn't it matters to us because we're like, you know, everyone wants to have a clean mix. And you watch somebody like Abstract or like A-Track or like somebody who just has been mixing their whole fucking life, and their mixes, you can even tell they're getting into a new song.
Yeah.
And they're running 4 decks at once and they're like just going off. James Hype, you know, like crazy stuff. But then, and no hate to this artist, but then you go see somebody like Subtronics mix and it's just slam intros because his song selection is so insane that he doesn't have to beat match, you know, out of one dubstep song into another. He just slam intros it, screams something on the mic, and then your face melts again for the second time. You know what I mean? It's like, so I do think that like I didn't put enough emphasis for myself when I was learning. Now I do. But on like my song selection, I was very, very like, oh, I need to just have good transitions. And I would go find like obscure, like B-list hip hop songs that nobody knew because they would fit a transition to get to another song. And I learned very quickly that like you lose people's attention so quickly. And so if you're playing, like, let's say I'm playing 5 bangers for every 20 songs I play, that's 20 opportunities for people to walk out of the bar and go to another one. So all of these learning experiences kind of, you see where I'm kind of going with this. It's like, it was just like coming into this world of DJing was like super, it was, I understood music, but I didn't necessarily understand how to make other people, you know, dance and party and have a good time.
You understand music, but like you don't necessarily understand how other people consume music.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing, even with how music is right now too, there's not a lot of good new music out.
Right.
Even like when prior to the show started, we're going over some of your guys' top tracks, and you even just said, you're like, I don't even think I have a single track on here from 2023. Yeah. And I just sat down with Conflict, who talked about how he's kind of prepping for his sets now and how he's literally creating whole set lists prior to playing events, and just how he kind of has to do that now because the music that people want to hear is so old because there isn't that good new music that in real time he can't think of those older songs just on the spot.
Yeah.
Because they're so old. You're going through your Serato or whatever, and you can't be thinking, oh man, what's that song from 2005?
Yeah.
Because that's 18 years ago now.
That's one thing that DJ Tanner does that blows my mind.
Preps for every set?
No, he like doesn't prep.
Oh, but he just knows
And
every
his-
song.
His recall.
His
is
recall
like,
is insane,
Yeah.
dude. He stresses me out when I watch him DJ because he just will pop open some random crate from like 5 years ago and be like, oh, there's a song on here that I want to play. And then he'll play that. And the song will have like 20 seconds left and he'll type in something else and then flawlessly mix out of it. I'm like, what in the world? Like, this doesn't stress you out for 5 hours you're doing this, just typing in songs.
See, I'm so good with shortcuts on Serato that I do the same kind of shit where I know my library so well that I can just be like, cool, Command F, fucking type something in real quick, drop it.
See, I do crates per venue. So like I'll create a crate for Whiskey Row, and that's just like 600 songs that I know will work.
Yeah.
And then I'll just sort it by BPM
Yeah.
and kind of go that way. But you know, we all know, like everybody has transitions at work that we do. I do the same transitions, most of which every single Friday night because they work and they've proven successful. And so usually like those are like my benchmarks. So I'll be like, all right, I'm going to start in this BPM and play some of this stuff. But by midnight, I want to be at this BPM and I want to hit these 4 transitions at peak hour because I know that these are like epic. These are my best transitions. And then by 1 a.m. when I'm starting to wind down, I want to hit these transitions. And so that's kind of how I organize my sets. When I was first starting out, though, it was just all over the place.
And that's what I'm saying. Going back to what you were saying of playing 5 out of 20 bangers, where that's kind of something that Conflict talked about, where he's been trying to find new music that he thinks is still going to be able to go off in clubs that might not be like a hit artist. Like it's not playing Drake. It's not an artist that somebody's going to know, but still beat wise of it is still going to be somewhere where it's not going to be one of those songs that's going to make people leave.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a song that can kind of extend someone's musical palette to make them appreciate more music than just the shit that they want to hear, just those bangers.
Yeah.
And it's hard to balance that of, damn, if I play one song that these people don't know, maybe it's a song that I like, maybe it's a new song that I just want to try out, of 15 of those 20 songs, if it's one of those ones that doesn't work, then
Yeah, you could
10
lose your
people
whole
leave.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also our duty and responsibility as DJs to play new music for people.
I agree.
Like that's what we are. I mean, historically, a DJ is just a curator, you know? But I think the problem is like people now, they just, I don't know, life fucking sucks right now. The world fucking sucks. So people,
both start
seriously,
crying.
man. So people want to come to the club and like sing along to these nostalgic songs. And I get that. Like they want to have this good time. But also like, yeah, like we have to be able to present them with something dope and something new. Like, I don't know, like for me, a huge point of success is always if I see somebody Shazamming stuff that I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, that makes me feel awesome. You know, like I was actually just telling somebody the other day, like I do my best not to do like the lowest common denominator songs. Like I try my best not to play Get Low, Yeah. You know, these obvious like Crank That, whatever. Like I try my best not to play any of these songs because they're just like, yeah, it's the lowest
like
common
cheesy,
denominator.
yeah.
It's like cheating. It's like, yeah, like of course you're gonna get people lit to fucking, you know, like whatever. Like
Usher,
yeah, like
works
obviously
every
people are gonna
time.
get lit to that, but like I think being able to play some cool shit and people still having fun is like the sign of success.
Yeah, if you get somebody to come up and say, man, what song is this?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, can I take a picture of your computer so I can see what song this is?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I don't give a
That
shit.
doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I will say this was like the craziest thing. I had the song come out last month, and a couple months ago, back in May, I was playing my new song at Pushing Daisies, and this girl ran up to me and was like, dude, what is this song? I tried to Shazam it, but nothing popped up. And I was like, oh shit, like this is my song. It's coming out next month. That was like the craziest feeling I've ever had in my life. Yeah, that was fucking cool.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that because you just put out At the Disco. You just put out All Day.
Yeah.
Yours released, what, end of May?
It was June 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you released
June
yours.
29th.
Okay.
Yeah.
End of June. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you guys did your party at Dirty Little Secret, which was awesome because bunch of industry people came out for it. Obviously, a million DJs there.
It's like a DJ fan club meeting. A DJ
But it's
committee
awesome.
meeting.
It's cool to see the support from everybody else in the city coming out for your release party. You had obviously already released, but it was still awesome because it was you two and then Tanner as far as the DJs for it. And then when you got done, you kind of just did open decks for all the other DJs to jump on, which was cool too.
Yeah.
And then it keeps everybody there.
Yeah.
Because they can kind of just keep partying too.
Well, I just wanted like my friends to be able to like be a part of it. Like that was my whole.
Your parents
mentality.
came too, didn't
My
they?
parents were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a vibe, honestly.
Yeah.
Actually, side note, I got my parents' bottle service, and the sign said "broken condom." So
Why did it say that?
I told them to say that.
Oh my
You were
God.
like,
I was like, is that what you
broken
It was like broken condom in 1998.
I thought like that was your dad. Like your dad picked that and
No,
was like, well,
and Mike-
finally time for him to know.
Congrats, son. We didn't want you.
Finally put out this single. Might as well let him know. It was a mistake.
no, but like my mentality behind that was like, yeah, like I don't know. I've never really like vocalized how grateful I am for like, even though I'm not like millions of streams on Spotify.
Yeah.
But all of the support I've got. I mean, I do bass house in a country music city. So it's like, there's not a ton of people doing like the genre that I'm doing. And there's not a ton of people in this city that love that genre. It's kind of a niche genre. We were talking about this the other day. I didn't necessarily realize how much of a niche genre bass house is. Tech house is a little bit more, accessible. And then
It's more popular like now.
Yeah.
Because it's hot right now.
right.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like abstract, not
Yeah.
to like this like epic bullshit, like noisy stuff. Mike actually notoriously always tells me he hates my music.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love that.
I think OMGPRKR is a great guy. I think he's a great producer. He does great sound design. And it's not that I hate your music. I don't fucking like bass house. Like, there's no groove. It's just,
I can't wait to clip
Damn.
that.
And like, I mean, honest. Like, if I'm in the club and like I'm watching Matt or one of these other guys play, like, I can appreciate the moments. Like there are some really epic big moments there.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you can listen to the music I make and you'd be like, oh, this guy just likes to vibe and groove to like bongos and shit. So
it goes both ways.
yeah.
So
and not everybody likes fucking bongos all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Every time we're in the studio, Mike's like, well, "You know what this song needs? Some fucking bongos."
I want him to put bongos in
Put some
bass house. So
He wants me
bad.
to put bongos in bass house. So I mean, it's interesting because it's like, you know, I've gotten a lot of support just on this first release, and I have a few more lined up, and I'm excited to see how those go. But I wanted to make sure that, like, if I'm going to throw a release party, I didn't want it to be the OMG Parker party. Like, everybody look at me, look at how amazing I am. Because that's not what it's about for me. It's about, like, I'm putting out a song. I want you guys to like it, but also I want you to come up and do your thing. And that's why I had Tanner, Mike, and me. We're all three of us are completely different. Tanner's got his own thing going. Mike's the disco guy. I'm bass house. And then you know, I brought Cisco, Larkin, those guys up. Obviously, it's all kind of still electronic geared, but I wanted to make sure that everybody there realized that I, you know, appreciate the support and all of that. So it's been really cool. And like the song's been growing like slowly, but definitely consistently, I'd say.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're almost he's about a couple thousand streams on there, and like, you know, and like there's what's the stat? There's like 50,000 songs that come out a day or something like that.
Yeah.
It might not be that high, but it's like in the tens of thousands.
Yeah.
And to be able to get even 1,000 streams without fake bots, fake playlists, bullshit streams, you know, like, it's a huge accomplishment, I think.
Because you guys both put them out independently, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then as far as that, how does that work? You guys push them out through still what did you guys both use the same thing or
Yeah,
no?
it was DistroKid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I use
as
a
far
different
as
service, but I use TuneCore, but they all do the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't know which one you guys end up choosing. But then as far as trying to get it onto playlists and stuff, that stuff you guys have to push through yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been kind of like having small strategy meetings just to try and figure out ways to do that organically. Because you can't. I mean, you can very easily go pay somebody $400 and they'll put your song on some fake ass playlist with a bunch of bots, and you'll look up in the morning. You'll wake up in the morning and you'll have 10,000 streams, and you can feel real great about yourself.
But none of them are real.
None of them are real. Or you can organically grow your music, which is what we're trying to do. Like, I'm okay if you go to my Spotify and it says I have 3,000 streams, but I have 800 monthly listeners, and those are real humans.
Yeah.
I'm way more happy to do that than to have 40,000 streams and like 20 monthly listeners the next month, and which you'll see after the 40,000 streams go away, that I only have 20 monthly listeners. So we're trying to build kind of this fan base, really. And you can't build a fan base overnight.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you kind of have to be consistent and connect with people who like what you do. So like, it makes a lot more sense for me to push my music to like EDM playlists and to guys that do even like metalheads and guys that like more aggressive stuff like that. We've been looking at a lot of our like analytics. Like, I always thought that I'd have more of a female following, but I have like an 80% male following.
Oh,
It's like
it breaks it down that far.
Yeah, a bunch of frat guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like the frat DJ kind of. Like, that's the sound that I
Stayed
have.
with what you were in college. There we go.
Right, yeah, look at me. Just full circle there. But yeah, and you know, there's all sorts of different stuff. We've been, you know, I'm not going to give all the trade secrets, but we've been really working on it.
We found some things that work.
Yeah, we found some stuff that
are
works
nice.
for what where we're trying to go.
I mean, I think
the
that's good
trajectory.
because you can see, like you said, if you have 20 monthly listeners and all of a sudden 40,000 listens, you can tell that shit is fake.
Yeah.
It's like when people have 300,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then their post gets 20 likes.
Right.
It's like you're up to something here.
I'm not even going to say that.
You're up to something here.
I listen, here's my mentality on that. Like, I understand the insecurity in this industry. I do, because we all feel it. All of us feel it to a certain extent. I would like to say that I'm not super insecure. Like, I'm pretty. I'll do what I want to do at the club. Like, if I'm gonna play a bass house song, I'm just gonna fucking play it. Like, I'm not the kind of DJ who's gonna be like, oh, they requested this and now I'm all stressed out. Like, but I know a lot of guys who are like that, who like really want their crowd to be happy, and they're great DJs. That makes you a great DJ. If you come into the club like open to whatever, I'd say you're a great DJ. But as far as like your social presence, like, I think people put way too much emphasis on follower counts and streams and whatever bullshit you think is like, it's like all these numerical values that you think are gonna like get you somewhere and get you booked and get you all these. nobody cares. There's guys playing Bonnaroo with like 300 followers,
Right.
who just are really good at what they do, and they know somebody, and they met the right people, and they impress the right people. And I was talking to this guy named Frox, which I want to shout him out. I don't even know where he's from. I don't know how I know who he is. I found his song called Every Man on BPM Supreme at like 4 o'clock in the morning one night. And I was just like on the bass house BPM Supreme genre. This dude has like 1,000 followers on Instagram. And like his music, like it does pretty good on Spotify, but like he fucks so hard. Like it fucks so hard. I'm a proper fan of this guy.
Did you fall into like a hole of his music
dude,
after?
I love
or
him.
what?
I DM'd him. I like DM'd him. I was like, dude, I fuck with you so much. And he was like, oh, I appreciate that. You know, this guy's not, I mean, he could easily like fake it and be like, oh, I have, 20,000 streams on this song. I'm getting ready to put out one, blah, blah. Good for you, dude. Like, I would much rather like follow an artist who I know is like a proper human and is doing like what they want to do for the people that appreciate it than this like fake shell of a man who has fake followers and fake streams and blah blah, and that never works out in the end anyways. For you it always crumbles. It's like a white lie. It just keeps building until it
Well,
falls
if honestly,
apart.
if you're putting if you're putting up fake streaming numbers, you can say goodbye to ever getting on a Spotify editorial playlist. That will fuck your algorithm up so hard.
Because they can tell.
because they're gonna see
Yeah.
they're gonna see 1 month you have like 1 million streams from India, and then they're gonna see the next month you have like 1 million streams from Dubai, because all of these
And
And you
no
have
streams in the
no
United
American
States.
following.
because they're all
Yeah.
using VPNs. These
Yeah.
bots are all using VPNs, so they don't get caught, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
they'll break the bot accounts immediately when they figure out where they're coming from, and it also reflects poorly on you as an artist because your analytics are all over the place. So like, I want the most proper, true, organic analytics I can get. So if that means I get 40 streams today from Nashville, Tennessee, and 25 from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I know now that those are 40 real people in Nashville and 25 people in Milwaukee. And I can say, okay, cool, I have a little bit of a following in Milwaukee, I have a bigger following in Nashville. As that grows, let's say like 5 years down the road, I'm getting 50,000 from Milwaukee and 100,000 from Nashville. Now I can chart a tour.
Yeah, that's
Now-
the kind of stuff that's going to help you booking wise instead of, hey, I have 100,000 people in India.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to go tour in India.
Right, but even if you do,
Yeah, well, I imagine
You don't
going to
actually
Indian
have-
show,
yeah.
but nobody comes.
Yeah.
Like,
nobody's
oh,
gonna
shit.
come. Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's a bunch of bots. So it's
Exactly.
like, yeah. So I don't subscribe to the fake shit. No hate to somebody who feels the need to do that. Like, I understand, sometimes you just kind of want to feel good about yourself. But for me, it's kind of like patting yourself on the
It's
back.
cheating.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. For lack of a better term, it's equivalent to jerking yourself off in the mirror. So
some people are into that. So,
Yeah.
Some people are into
I guess
that.
some people are.
Anyway,
Clip
so
that
let's. So speaking of that, who else have you guys been working with?
Oh shit! I didn't know where we were going with that one. Oh man, this is the R-rated platform podcast, just so you guys are aware. Who else have we been? Go ahead, Mike. I feel like I've just been.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you guys work with each other a lot. Sitting in studios, you guys have a lot of studio time together. Who else do you guys typically like to work with, or do you guys have anything coming up with other people right
Mostly, I kind of, if I'm not working on something with Matt, I'm probably working on it alone. However, I will say I've got this tune called Love and Cup. It was the funniest name.
Love and Cup.
Yeah,
baby.
I'm doing a collaboration with this guy out in Austin. His name's Boogie Tracks. He's fucking dope. Just super great funky house dude. Yeah, we're just kind of cranking that out. I actually have this tune coming with my sister. She's an amazing vocalist from Virginia.
Gotcha.
She's in this group called Sonny and Gabe, like really cool, like kind of weird, like avant-garde, like electronic music. But she's just got this really cool indie voice. So yeah, we did this tune about jellyfish. It's just like a
now? I think I remember you guys talking about this.
It goes
I might-
kind of hard.
I might
Yeah,
have brought
it
it up.
goes
It's just
kinda
like
hard.
it's just like a silly song from like the perspective of like this fun jellyfish down in the ocean. You know what I mean? I had like made this instrumental and I sent it to her and I was like, hey, like if you want to do something on this, like let me know. And like a day or two later, she just was like, hey, like I had like this sativa edible and like I just like started, I wanted to sing about jellyfish. So I just wrote this thing about jellyfish. There's like this little rap about jellyfish. It's crazy. It's awesome.
It's so lit.
I did send it to a label yesterday, and he responded this morning. So this is not quite housey enough for us, but thank you so much.
But they got a response for you right away?
Okay.
Oh, see? What about you, Matt? Who are you working with?
Man, I've been Mike notoriously knows, on this like weird writer's block for like a month now. And it's like finally yesterday, me and Brady popped open. We made like this kind of like a future bass little track. And that's like the first time I've opened my DAW in like a month. But I do have plans to work with the guy I was just talking about, Frox. Hit him up, ask him if you want to do something. Obviously, Mike. I think me and Tanner want to try and work on something. Me and Cisco have been working on a lot of stuff. Actually, we could tease that. We have something coming out. Me and Cisco have something coming out.
I wonder if this is the same thing that he was talking about.
Oh, was he? What did he talk about? Yeah, we got a song.
It's fucking good, man.
It's pretty good. It's very accessible. It's a very accessible tune, but it definitely has both of our vibes to it. So I'm like really excited to hear.
It's got a little bass, got a little melody.
Yeah, that's one thing Mike always says. None of my music has melody. It's just like like just noise.
Which is funny.
Hey, that's the criticism you need.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like historically, like I come from like DIY hardcore punk, which is there's no melody. It's just like thrash.
And I come from jazz guitar, where it's like you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But it's just like it's funny. There's this pipeline. There's this like DIY music to EDM pipeline that I've noticed. Like all the kids that were into like from my scene, from my hardcore punk scene, like that, like the fast paced punk, thrash stuff. They're all into like cool vibey house music now, but all of like the kids that were into like metal are like dubstep and bass house kids now. I mean, I can point at like 30 different people that I grew up with that fit this pipeline perfectly. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on like Asking Alexandria and like like that really cringy like Hollywood Undead bullshit.
Yeah, it was just like
kind of metal, like weird metalcore,
like emo metalcore.
But then
shit.
at the same time, you're playing jazz guitar.
Yeah, I was like super confused. I didn't know what and then I was DJing
That's
my
called being
prom.
a teenager.
Yeah,
Man.
I was like, I had no clue what was going on. I just knew that I liked music and like I didn't quite know what. I can still pop on some Miles Davis in the car and get active.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just like the dynamic behind. But I do like disco too. Like I can get down with some disco. I do need to smoke a little weed before I do, but I can get down with some disco.
You play me some disco when I'm out at like a brunch or like opening for a bar or club. Like, dude, I'll always vibe to it.
Dude.
Like even him opening up for your guys' night for the release party.
Yeah.
Like when he hopped on, I was like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, and it was the perfect like vibe set. I love what Mike does. It's funny. You don't think I should, but I feel like that's how it goes with like a lot of like partnerships and like people who like really appreciate. Like if you look at most of these big artists, not even in the EDM scene, but if you look at like big name guys, they always like name drop these obscure people that have nothing to do with their genre, and you're like, I wonder why they like that.
You know who I think is a good example of that is Post Malone.
Yeah,
Dude is in fucking everything.
Well, dude, I'm sure you saw that like he like was a huge supporter of this dude. There's this like new like bluegrass dude, Noah Khan.
Noah Khan, yeah.
Yeah, my wife,
My brother just did
fucking
photography
loves
for him.
And she
Yeah.
actually just bought tickets to see a show.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everybody when he put out this last song he did, everybody was like, oh yeah, like this is like you're like a little like Post Malone kind of dude. And then Post Malone got a hold of it and was like, "Yo, this is sick.
Right.
I'm gonna get on this song." And like, then he got on the fucking song, just like supporting this little dude. And now this Noah Khan guy is like,
yeah, he just blew up.
Just
I think it was
fucking
just at
blew
fucking Lollapalooza or somewhere. Because my brother
tickets
just
were like $200 a piece.
Yeah.
In Nashville.
When I think of that
crazy.
in like the electronic scene, I always think of like Kaytranada.
Yeah.
Kaytranada pulls stuff from like the most ridiculous stuff. And like before him, it was like, I feel like Skrillex has always kind of done that. He's always been like the sample guy who like the yes, oh my God. And
I mean, he can play every genre too.
Yeah.
So it's just like he dips into whatever the fuck
but you
he
can
wants.
always tell it's Skrillex.
Yeah.
You can always tell like there's a little bit of Skrillex in there, but like I think that it's important as any sort of musician, but especially in the electronic music scene, because a lot of our music does sound very similar. Like most bass house sounds like bass house. Most disco sounds like disco. Tech house, don't get me started on tech house. I think it's very important to pull. I think for your own musical journey and to make sure that you're being like true to yourself, to like pull into those influences that you had early in life. So for me, like, yeah, I'm definitely going to pull into, if maybe it's not the horn section in a jazz song, but the dynamics in a jazz song could very easily be applied to.
It's
a
still
bass
something
house
that
song.
influences you while you're creating songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's very important for your influences to be organic and not forced. Because I can sit here and say, yeah, my influences are Abstract, Knock 2, and Jaws. And like that's what everyone would expect me to say. And that's what probably most people think I get in the car and listen to. But it's not. I get in the car, I listen to Baby Keem. I get in the car and I'll listen to Radiohead. I'll listen to like the U2, like these really obscure things.
Fucking all over the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like those are the things that will influence me to want to make music. And maybe I'll go and sit down at my DAW and make a bass house song. But like the creativity doesn't have to have like a boundary between genres, I think.
Actually, I tell people all the time, like, I love house music. We all love house music. But like for some of the producers out there, like, hey, don't forget, go listen to something other than house music for a bit. Like, you know, you have to like go into music with kind of a broad palette, and you have to be able to pull influences from here and there. And like, also sometimes it's nice just to fucking listen to music.
Yeah.
You got to cleanse it sometimes, I feel like.
Just enjoy music. Like, I mean, I'm a big reggae dude. I fucking love reggae. And yeah, every now and then if I'm just like, I'm feeling like I don't really feel like making music, that's cool. Don't create if you don't want to create. Just pop on your earbuds, put on some Chronics or Protege or whatever, and just vibe to some
Love
dub,
Chronics.
man.
Love me some Chronics.
Dude, Chronics is so good.
Yeah.
So going back to you, I know you just talked about how you had a writer's block. Do you write the lyrics for all day and everything? Do you do all that yourself?
It's interesting. When I was in college and I was like kind of doing more of the commercial producer route, I was like really trying to zero in on like my songwriting skills, because that was kind of a big thing. Was like good producers can write music. But now that I'm doing house music, I don't necessarily have to write a ton of lyrics, because a lot of the music I'm doing isn't really lyrically based. It's very sample based.
Yeah.
So like all day was this guy named Spank Lee that I found, just a rapper. And that song, that was like a snippet of the hook for this like 8-minute song. And maybe not that long, but a longer song. And I just listened through it, and I was like, that could work. And I took that hook, and that's kind of how I approach all of my vocals now. Is like I'll get a nice little backbeat built in Logic, and I'll be like, all right, where do I want to take the song? What do I want? Do I want this to be a happy song? Do I want a female vocal? Maybe I'll bring in somebody to do that vocal, or maybe I want this to be some like badass, like angry, aggressive bullshit, and then I'll go find some cool hip hop vocal that I can loop or whatever. So I try to think outside of the box, rather than the like, okay, this is verse 1 and it's about my boyfriend who I broke up with, and then this is verse 2 and it's about, which there's definitely no problem with that. That songwriting approach is like proven to be successful in most pop genres, but I don't want my music to be, I want my music to like, more than anything, I want my music to invoke an emotion rather than make you think about the lyrics necessarily. So like I'm more interested in fucking your hearing than fucking with your heart. Damn. That was
Damn.
deep.
Yeah.
Come on now. Clip
You
it.
just thinking
Clip
that?
it. I just thought of that.
Clip
I just
it.
thought of that. Off the dome, baby.
Holy shit, we're
Off
getting
the
deep on the
dome.
show
I just
today.
start crying.
Yeah. me and Mike start crying. Yeah. Luna's crying.
Luna just wants me to throw her ball.
Yeah.
She literally like came and placed it next to me and then went and laid down.
Oh, I didn't even know that's where it
I'm
was.
just gonna hold on to it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I approach it. And I like, I like the emotional aspect of bass music, like dubstep, drum and bass, like bass house. Like I want there to be this down moment and then this build, and then you're here and then you come back down and then there's a build, So like for me, the lyrics are just helping with that emotional part. They're not necessarily the focus of like, bitch, we get into it nonstop every day, all day. How lame is that? But it works. I don't know. Well, I'm talking myself off a ledge right now. Go ahead, Mike.
So you're working. Brady started working with you on a new song, or what?
Yeah. So I don't want to leak too much of it, because we only have the hook written.
Okay.
But it's like this future bassy kind of. I'm gonna show you the drop.
Are you both writing it together, or Brady helped you write
Brady's
it, or
kind
what?
of an amazing songwriter.
Okay.
Like stupid amazing. Like shout out Brady Riley. And we're not really in the same genre at all. Like
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to dip into, is how you guys collaborate together.
It's cool because like hanging out with Brady and hanging out with his friends, I've seen like such a different like side of the Nashville music scene. A lot of amazing country artists, a lot of amazing pop artists that I personally probably will never or would never work with, but I definitely respect what they do because they grind their asses off, and a lot of the stuff that they're working on is like insane. Like some of the lyrical content that Brady has shown me just in demos and writes, I'm like, holy shit! Like you guys are thinking of this. So we might not necessarily ever really like cross paths genre wise. And me and Brady, we were just hanging out at my crib, and I was like, you want to work on some music? Like, let's see what happens. And we came up with like this cool like future bass thing. I'm not a huge future bass guy, but here I'll show you the drop of it because I'm kind of proud of it. Let's see if I'll turn this up. You might be able to hear it in the mic.
Oh yeah, I got chills from that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Who's the vocals on that?
That's Brady.
That's Brady on there.
Yeah, Brady's.
Oh
nuts.
damn.
Yeah. So Chainsmokers vibe.
That's
vibe.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, but like doing stuff like that for me, it's like maybe, hopefully that song goes somewhere, and I we haven't even really gotten that far yet. We don't even have a verse done for it, so we'll see where it takes us. But moreover, it was like, okay, I'm like writing with somebody from a completely different like background, a completely different writing style, a completely different just mentality, totally on music, and it was really cool to kind of just like sit down and figure him out and figure out how he is wired. It changes your opinion a little bit on how you do your own stuff. And I think the more and more that you do that, the more and more that you work with new people and like different styles of music, like even like your sister, like her style of music is way different than what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
But it was so interesting how she like approached your song. Cause if I was like tasked to write lyrics for your song, it would have been like, we're dancing. We're dancing.
You do it completely different.
Yeah. And she's like, I want to write about fucking jellyfish. And I'm like, okay, like that's different, but like very interesting. And I honestly like it more than if we brought in some like soulful singer that like sing,
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. And honestly, that's one of the reasons that I think me and Mike work together so well is because we're so different.
So different.
So
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
And we're both, I think, super open to like each other's like ideas and thoughts and vibes. Like nothing is ever off the table when we're doing music.
Where you're not going to pitch something and he's just going to completely shit on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, that's out.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know. I think we also work super well together because like he is a little bit more like professionally and classically trained in production. I am not. But I've always approached things from like a very like creative, creative standpoint. And, quite honestly, quite often, I will just say, Matt, like, hey, I think in this section there should be this sound that's like kind of like this like boop, 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 boop thingy, and like I don't really know how to say it, and he'll know exactly what I'm saying and be like, oh yeah, you mean something like this. Play,
just nerding out.
Shit, that's exactly what I was talking about. It's really a beautiful arrangement.
But also Mike is a lot more creative in a lot of ways than I am, where like I can get caught up in the click, click, click and like, oh, I want this to be this and this automation to be here and this macro and Mike will be like, dude, just like let's find a cool preset and like make something and then we can tweak it after.
Yeah.
Where I'll get like caught up in the intro for like 3 hours.
Yeah, and then you're listening to a kick for 3
hours.
hours.
Like the kick, dude, there's too much, 200 hertz.
It's just a placeholder, man.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
No, because Mike will send me like a final version and be like, I think I'm going to change the snare. And I'm like, well, you should have done that earlier, Mike. But like, that's not necessarily his writing process.
Yeah.
He's like,
there are pros and cons.
Also, my favorite snare that I have on my computer is a snare that Mike just like pulled out of his ass one day. He was like, here's a snare. And I was like, I love this. This is amazing.
It's like the least disco snare. It's like the ugliest like tech house like trash can snare.
And now you just use it all the time.
I have it layered. It's like in every track there's one layer of this snare.
I don't even layer it with anything. I'm like, this is the snare here.
This is what we're using. No questions asked.
In fact, when he played me him and Cisco's new song, I was like, hey, that's my snare, isn't it? He's like, oh shit.
It was like, it's only your snare. Nobody else's.
It's the only thing in it.
Yeah, it's literally the only snare.
We're just going to keep using it. But yeah, we were talking about Brady a little bit. You just got to go to Apple Music's headquarters.
Yeah, it's their music, their studio, and they have got like, it's crazy. It's like Quantico in there. It's like they like sent us like a fucking 3-page itinerary of like every second of the day of what we will be doing and where we will be going, and which is really cool because that's like high level stuff that I'm like even today I was like, yeah, I'll be there at 11. I show up at like 11:45 and I'm like, oh, my bad guys, I overslept. Like but it's like very, very like particular. But you know, like when you're Apple Music, there's no room for any bullshit. Like you be here on time or you don't get the interview. So it was really cool. We got there. I was just kind of hanging out. I had no reason to be there, if I'm being honest. I'm just good friends with Brady.
Yeah. Support.
Yeah. Just supporting the homie. But it was super sick. We went down into like the depths of the Apple Music, like I don't even know. I think they keep aliens down there. At least that's how they act, because you have to scan into 6 doors to get to the basement. And he did an interview with Trailblazers Radio. This guy named Fancy. It's kind of like a podcast radio station. Very cool. But they like put him in a soundstage, like studio, this like super sick studio, amazing lighting. They're using like 4K cameras, like the top of the top. And then they put me and his PR manager in like a green room, and they sent us a live feed with audio to that room, and we could like watch the whole thing there. Fully stocked. They had mini talkies in that room. I've never seen mini talkies before in my life. I was like, where'd you even get these? It's pretty cool. It's super cool.
I love that that's the biggest thing that he was like most shocked about.
I know. I'm like a little boy. I'm like, ooh, talkies.
Just fucking eating Takis.
Yeah, just
Do you guys have Sprite? I love Sprite.
Yeah. It's all minis though.
They're like, just don't talk to
the
Matt.
things we get excited about, man.
It's really cool. I think that's the cool part about Nashville is that there's just like studios everywhere. And like, you never know, like Jack Harlow has just been like vibing all weekend, just like making appearances. You just kind of never know who's going to be here and like who you might run into and like what opportunity. Like I didn't think anything of it when he was like, hey, we have to do a podcast. I was like, oh, cool. Like I'll come with. And then I'm like sitting in a green room at Apple Music headquarters. Like, holy shit, this is just in Nashville in like some random ass building. And that's
it's
like
new
everywhere.
too. I mean, I think it started, they built it in COVID or.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
I mean,
that's
the
like
building,
how
it
brand new
looked,
it is.
it looked like an Apple store. It was like
Yeah.
everything's clean, minimalist, like wood and white. Like it was so sick. I've done a lot of work at this studio called Graybox. Shout out Graybox. Those guys are super cool. It's kind of a similar vibe, just like an all white, very aesthetic studio. But honestly, some of the best work I've ever done has been in my living room.
Yeah.
On my laptop or on my iMac. Mike actually has told me I need to get a mobile producing rig.
Well, this is not even a rig, man. It's just a laptop. It's just a
Yeah,
laptop.
because I produce on an iMac now.
So
You don't have a portable?
I
at
have my
all?
DJing laptop.
So he refuses to produce on his DJ laptop, which is good. You should probably have them separated just for like, quality control and make sure your laptop doesn't crash during your performance. But you know, the majority of my productions I do sitting on my couch on my headphones. Like I very rarely will even go up to my studio anymore because it was more comfy doing it on my couch, and I have my little keyboard on the couch with me, and I do my thing. And there are pros and cons to that, but like I think like when Matt was having this like big writer's block, I was just like, dude, just like sit on the couch and open your laptop. He's
Instead
like,
of being stuck at your desk where your iMac is.
Well, yeah, and we were talking the other day about how like your vibe of your room is so important to your production.
Yeah.
Like I used to have this little itty bitty studio.
it was a piece of shit room.
was
It was a piece of shit.
It was like this dark old office. Smelled
Smelled
like
funny.
feet. It smelled funky. There was like, I'm pretty sure I found roaches in there one. Like it was very DIY, and I loved being in there.
the vibe was immaculate.
I loved it.
It was dark.
was
like there were no
dark.
windows. Like just this creepy,
cozy.
Just
it
a
was
perfect
creepy.
room to produce just some grimy shit.
I would come in there at like 1 a.m. and be like, all right, what are we gonna drink like 3 Red Bulls, and like some weird song would come out of that session. And now my like pretty little apartment with like pretty little white walls and wood floor.
and a big old window in there,
Big
nice
window,
bright light.
nice and bright. It's like a therapy room, and I'm like in there like trying to make.
and that's where you're blocked, is in this room that's so much more
and honestly,
open.
it was as soon as he moved a studio into that apartment,
Yeah.
like the output kind of.
It's really gone down. Yeah. So I'm actually today at 2 p.m. What time is it? At 2 p.m. I'm going to look at houses because I want to be able to like build us. Like I want to be able to like build the ultimate vibe, ultimate vibe complex. And I want a basement. I want to be able to like go downstairs like 3 o'clock in the morning if I'm having a thought and like feel comfy.
something where you can put a vision together and then create that studio yourself.
Yeah.
And then there's not an upstairs neighbor, there's not a downstairs neighbor, or to
True.
your left or to your right. Like you can just do your thing.
Yeah.
Just do your thing and like be unapologetically creative, because like if you're feeling like not creative to any extent, it's gonna like show in your work. You know, like even if you have an idea, you can throw the idea down, but you're not gonna do anything with it if you don't have like this. Like that should be an afterthought. I shouldn't be like worried about my comfortability in my studio. It should be like, all right, this is where I work. This is what I do. This is my place. I'm gonna make something cool out of it. Fuston does a good job with that. Fuston's studio is like it's like his spaceship.
Yeah,
It's like
Vibe City in there.
It's like it's just mega vibes, and he spends a lot of time in there, and like he's just happy to produce, happy to be in there. Like if you don't want to be, it's like if you don't want to be at work, then you're not gonna do a good job at work.
Yeah.
And for me, like producing is work, kind of.
It is. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's fun. Just because it's fun doesn't mean it's not work.
Yeah.
Also, Fuston's place smells really nice too.
Yeah, he has like really good candles in there.
His
Shout out
candle
Fuston.
game is strong.
Yeah.
I love how that's what you guys like pick out. Oh, and also on top of how it looks aesthetically, shit smells great.
This podcast recording has gone so much better than the one that may or may not have priorly happened.
Allegedly.
Because we're just like, I don't give a fuck.
We're just vibing a lot more.
The last time I was like, yes, Dex, that's a very good question, and thank you for asking me.
Much
Like,
more professional.
All my media training coming
Yeah.
and this
You had your PR coach was sitting behind you.
yeah, he's like, don't say that.
No, don't answer that. Yeah.
My client refuses to answer that question. There are questions that I will not answer.
For sure.
I wish I knew those questions, so I
Mike
could ask
does.
them.
Mike, so fun thing, Mike like is basically my day-to-day like life.
He's manager Mike still as a DJ, but he's also your manager.
Yeah. So Mike has been managing me for going on 6-7 months now.
Yeah.
We're almost to our year, almost to our anniversary. I should take you out. I'm gonna take you out for some sushi.
I would love that.
Be romantic.
I would love that.
Candlelit
You
dinner.
owe me some money, probably.
Yeah, I
so-
probably owe him a lot of money. But like
Back pay.
Mike has like my Instagram. Mike has like access to pretty much my whole life, my calendar.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every time I have
didn't know this.
Yeah. So any like personal conflict that I ever have, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to talk to Mike about it. So it could be like a booking thing. I could be like, oh man, they like took me off the schedule or whatever. And like, we'll talk about that. But it could also be like, man, this person said something really mean to me at my set and I'm really sad about it. And he'll be like, oh, let's unpack that, man.
He's like your manager, your therapist,
Literally.
everything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Full service. Full
Yeah.
service
Full
operation.
service
here.
operation.
He can charge more. So
He's like my brother at this point.
yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
No,
It
I knew
is
you guys
nice.
were close, but I never did. I've heard you joke about it before. I didn't know you're actually like full access
Yeah.
to everything.
Yeah. No, he's
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Every now and then, something will pop up on the calendar, be like, oh, I added this meeting with so and so. I'm like, oh, dope. You're meeting with like this person. Can I come?
No, yeah, like yesterday. I was like
Yes,
meeting with a guy yesterday, and he was like, hey, when's that meet? I didn't even tell him where we were going or what. And then I like texted him on the way. I was like, oh yeah, by the way, Hampton Social, like meet us there.
And I showed up.
I apologize.
Now I'm gonna look at like your next Instagram post and be like, was this really him or did Mike post this?
I don't ever post on there.
All right.
And he
never mind.
also claims that he never reads my DMs.
I don't. I have
Yeah.
never once.
only
opened
looks
your
at the
DMs.
pictures.
All I see is what comes in,
He sees the push notifications,
and then like I can usually ascertain what the conversations are like based on the messages coming in.
Yeah.
it's funny. My favorite thing is when I'll be like DJing at like 2:00 or 1:00 on like a Friday, and I'll get like a request into my DMs. And I'm like, I know Mike just saw that. It'll be like, hey, can you play Bad Bunny? Like,
I'll text him immediately, like, "Don't do it, man.
don't do-
Don't do it."
As your manager, I'm telling you to not take that request.
yeah, please do not.
Shut it down.
Let's talk about requests. I want to talk about requests because this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I want to get both of your opinions.
Okay.
Now I'm the interviewer.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is now.
Is this what we talked about at Whiskey Row the other day?
Well, so people, is it me? Is it just me, or have people been getting more and more aggressive with the requests?
They have been. I think.
Have you noticed that, or is it?
I think people just always have been aggressive, but I think since like the TikTok trend of the Bad Bunny shit, like holding your phone up and playing it, which was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, however long that was, I think that's what really, really kicked it off a lot more because it was just nonstop, like phone on the forehead or just like sticking it in your face with whatever artist, whatever song that they wanted to hear
Right.
in big ass font. And I almost feel like because of it going viral so much when Bad Bunny was popping off, I mean, not that he still isn't,
yeah.
it just made everyone think like, oh, it's okay.
Right.
And now it's gotten to the point where it's so fucking annoying and just disrespectful.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
It's more just like a disrespect. We remember we were talking about like finding a room that fits your vibe and like finding like I feel like, and this is I love Nashville. I love DJing here. This is not me like saying anything bad about Nashville, but like we were talking about this yesterday. We're here to like serve a big tourism community where these people have spent $5,000 to get here, and it's their weekend and it's their bachelorette party, and they're not gonna go to bed until they hear "Man, I Feel Like a Woman." And so you, the DJ, are there to play "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" for them. Whereas you go to New York and you go to some underground like hole in the wall club, those people just like are there because they know that they like house music and they play house music here, and they're just gonna vibe with whatever you play. I really, really wish we had more of that here. It's just it gets to be annoying. And I understand requests. Like if I go see a DJ every now and then, I'll be like, man, I really wish you'd play this song. But I'm not gonna like walk up to this guy who's like working and trying to like make his room happy and then throw some dumb shit at him. I don't know. I guess it's just a different mentality because we're DJs.
No, I get it.
I understand, but I just think it's disrespectful to be like, hey, you're doing good, but I could do better.
Yeah.
There's just a good way to go about asking for a request. Like, I don't mind the people at all that are like, come up and they're like, hey, do you take requests? And it's like, yeah or no, depending on how you're feeling. And then they're like, hey, if you can, like, can you play this? And I'll be like, sure, like, cool, that fits.
Yeah.
It's the people that just come up and they're like, hey, play this. And I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like, say hello first.
Right.
Yeah.
Just I don't even care if you're making it up. Like 90% of people were like, it's my friend's birthday. And I'm like, okay, hit me with the request. I already know what's coming next. Like, I know you're not just coming up here to say that. And it's always like one thing that just leads to the request where I'm like, even that, like, I'm all right with, because at least you're starting somewhat of a conversation before just being like, hey, play this.
Right.
Or if you just come up and just give me fucking money. Like, people here will just throw me money and just be like, hey, can you play this? I'm like,
Yeah.
You got it.
$50 will get your song played much faster.
I don't know. It depends
Actually,
on the
that's
vibe.
There's some
actually
shitty-
not true.
Depends on the vibe. It depends on the vibe.
But I think
And that's another thing too, is like people that throw requests out of left field that are completely not what the room is vibing to at all.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like,
I found that like if I respond in a way that's like, hey, that's a great song, but it is absolutely not going to work with this crowd. I think if you're like nice and respectful back to the person requesting, they're usually okay. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, there's every now and then that person that's going to like cause a hissy fit, but
I made a girl cry once. Not on purpose.
this checks out.
She was like, "Can you play this song?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "It's my birthday, and I just want to hear it." And then she
just started crying instantly when you said no?
Yeah, just immediately bawling. And I was like, "I'm sorry. Like, I don't even have that. I don't." It was like her friend's new hip hop song, and I was like,
oh yeah.
The people who think that I'm just like up there on Spotify, I'm like,
Right.
"Oh yeah, let me download."
Can't you just play
Yeah.
that from YouTube real quick? Here's the link. I can airdrop you the link right now.
Or like, do you have an aux cord? I need.
Yeah,
I'm
we do.
I'm gonna
but
start
no.
bringing an aux cord to sets. And be
But
like,
you know what? If you can figure out how to play it, go right ahead.
one time I had a DJ off of my iPhone was the left deck and the right deck actually. It was when it was at Underground, the day that the 3000s died on me.
The day that you broke them?
They brought up a Nexus 2. They only had one working Nexus 2, and I used my iPhone as the left deck. It was
How
insane.
awful was it?
It was insane. It was so bad.
Crazy.
It was so bad. It was like, but it worked. I got through the night.
I would just instant double all night.
Well, I wasn't using a laptop.
Oh.
So I didn't
can
have
still-
a deck to instant double onto. Because you could.
You can
Yeah.
only do that like if you're playing like in Serato and like
No,
you're
'cause you
using
can
No, you
some
can do
sort
it.
of,
You
like,
can just double
virtual-
up sticks.
You don't need
virtual-
a. You don't need.
Well, if you don't have
decks.
another deck,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then you would, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need decks to like. You can unplug the decks and just go
depends,
and
on,
Yeah.
depends
yeah.
on your mixer.
Yeah, it depends
Yeah.
on your mixer. But I was using a stick and I was like, oh, here we go.
Oh, we're fucked. All right. It's going to be a long one,
Yeah,
boys.
and it was like 11 p.m. and I had to go till like 2:30. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so off topic. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like I don't ever want to be a dick to someone if they are requesting a song because it's like I get it, you know. But at the same time, like I just sometimes it gets to be a little disheartening when you're like really trying to like put your vibe forward.
Yeah.
You know, like my vibe is like aggressive house music, and I've been trying to find places, and I think I finally have found those places that I can like sink into that. like genre and it's respected and people appreciate it. But before when I was playing just any venue I could get and I was trying to kind of still give my flavor, it's really hard to do that when people just see you as like the DJ guy,
Right.
and they don't really care who you are, what you do, what your genre is. If you go to see Steve Aoki, you're not going to ask him to play a country song,
Yeah.
So
Unless it's a Morgan Wallen remix.
that's true. I also have been doing that. I've been just like trying to like anticipate every request and just have a house remix of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I can be like, I played your song.
It wasn't the genre
wasn't
that
the
you
genre.
wanted, but it was that artist and that song. Yeah.
Like pour some sugar on me. I got a house remix of pour
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, I could never.
No, but I mean, all that kind of shit is really what happens here because there's so much of, I mean, it's a country city, but it's still like music city. I mean, I feel like the majority of places that you go outside of those first and second floors that are doing bands will have DJs,
Yeah.
and those DJs at the majority of venues are playing everything. I mean, aside from like Aldean's and places like that where they really stick to not really any hip hop, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. You can still get away with playing an open format set and dipping into Latin, to house, to tech house, to bass house, to hip hop,
Yeah.
and finding everyone's need for music instead of, hey, I'm going to play Shania Twain,
Right.
and I'm going to play Morgan Wallen, and then every other country song that you guys want to hear.
Yeah. Mike was talking the other day about how you can probably like go deeper into this, but like open format is such a new concept, right? You were saying something about that.
Was I?
Yeah, you're talking about like how like the open format is like this new DJ term. It just really means pop music.
You might have just seen something on TikTok.
They talked about it on Road Podcast.
On that, but you might have seen that.
Yeah, maybe, but I feel like we had a conversation about it because you were talking about how when you first started DJing, like Acme was the first place that did DJs on Broadway.
So there was DJs, I guess, back then, but Acme was the first to do like a rooftop DJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Like that was not a thing.
So in the infancy of that idea to bring in a rooftop DJ, what were you telling these DJs to play?
We weren't telling them anything. There was no micromanagement, which is, and to this day, Acme still is like one of the only venues in Nashville that will not come say, "Hey, like you need to dial back the hip hop." Like they're not like that. You have free reign to do whatever you want. I mean, I could go in there on a Friday night and rip 4 hours of disco, which I have done.
I'm sure, yeah.
And it's either fine or it's not fine. But like the venue's not, they're not there to micromanage. They hire a DJ
To do his thing.
what they're good at.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that's even a novel concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every single venue I have ever played, except for Acme, will just micromanage the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. And it's frustrating to see like the kind of loose racism behind it as well. I'm not going to say any names, but no, you know what? I'm not going to go there. No, I'm going to go there.
I'll go there.
This fucking guy, he texted me and said, "Hey man, it's pretty dark in here. Can you dial it back a little bit and start playing some house music?" A different venue owner said, "Hey man, there's lots of N-words in here. Can you stop playing rap music?"
That one was pretty well documented too. That when that happened, that was very.
And I stopped playing at both of these places.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
These are both in Nashville?
Yes.
Jesus.
And it's crazy that it's crazy that this is even acceptable. And it's crazy to me that people will continue working at these places.
I also think it's crazy that probably every DJ that has played many spots will have the same or a similar story. Like I've never had anyone straight out just drop the N-word.
Yeah.
But you have managers that what they're saying is basically, hey, we don't want black people in here.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And if you want to be real, in my career DJing, I've seen so many more issues with coked out white college dudes.
oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't we kick, like, what the fuck, man? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I think that's what I love about the places that I've been playing lately and the residencies that I'm in now is that I just feel like I have nothing but respect for every manager that I work with right now. And 2 years ago, I couldn't say that. I would come into work and be like, I do not feel like hearing this guy's mouth. But that's like part of, I think that's like a boundary that a lot of DJs are worried about setting up when they're new, because it's like, I need gigs. I have to play these gigs. I have to do what the manager tells me to do, which is not only hurtful for you as a DJ because you're not portraying any sort of vibe at all for yourself. I mean, and some DJs are just open format guys. They'll just do whatever, which is cool. That's fine. But I think most DJs have a vibe they want to push. Yeah. And it's also hurtful for that venue and makes you look bad. It's very obvious when you flip from, if you're playing hip hop for the majority of the night, when you flip over to EDM, it's pretty obvious what you're doing. And it makes us look bad. Yeah. And we wouldn't have chosen to do that if somebody didn't tell us to. I can understand giving a nice variety of music. Like, I'm not going to pull up at a show and play 4 hours of straight hip hop. Right. The same way I'm not going to pull up at a show and play 4 hours of straight bass house. You know, if I'm playing for 4 hours, I need to kind of touch a little bit of everything to make sure everybody's having a good time. But if I want to play a hip hop song and I feel like the vibe is right and the crowd will take it correctly, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah, without fear of a manager coming up and telling you, hey, don't play
the
this.
management that I work with now, especially at Daisy's and Whiskey Row, have just been so open to letting me be an artist.
Yeah, dude, pushing
I've
Daisies
never
has,
once, like here playing Whiskey Row, I've never once had anything from management where they're like, yo, you can't play this.
No. Yeah.
But I also think that's in part that I know what the fuck I'm doing, and I know I'm not going to stay in one genre.
And that's because Whiskey Row is at this level, and this isn't like a diss to any other bars, but Whiskey Row is at a level where they don't need us necessarily. If you fuck up and you're not doing your job, they can get anybody to come in and play. So they recognize that, like, we're going to let these guys be professionals, and, you know, we expect you guys to do your job the way that we're hiring you to do your job. Right. There is no ounce in their brain of, I need to go upstairs and tell the DJ to do something. Yeah. Because they didn't hire us. If they need to tell us to do something, then we don't need to be on the roster. You know? And I love that because it holds us it not only holds us to a higher standard, but it makes me feel like, okay, you appreciate what I'm doing and you accept the fact that I'm good at what I'm doing. And so I'm able to just kind of sink into what I'm doing. And there's obviously like curation that comes with every room. So like, I'm going to play a different set at Daisy's and I'm going to play it at Whiskey Row.
Oh, 100%.
Because the clientele's different and the vibes are different. The sound system's different, all that. But even at pushing Daisy's, like the management over there, Howard, Jen, Chris, all those guys, they just let me do what I want to do.
Yeah, that's been like...
I said and girls.
And girls. Yeah, Jen. Shout out Jen.
You said a girl in there and then you go, all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, pushing Daisies has been the most refreshing residency.
I feel like that has to be just an absolutely perfect spot for you.
Mike rips.
It is, man.
That's
I just like, I do exactly what I want, and what I want is what works for the room.
Yeah.
So it's like this a lovely little thing. I mean, I just do, you know, a lot of. I don't do much straight disco. It's all just disco house.
Yeah.
I have to like. It's like the only venue where I can play 10 of my own tracks in a set, and I do.
For people that don't know, Pushing Daisies is a newer spot downstairs underneath where like 1230 Club, super sexy, just cocktail lounge, all like tequila specialty cocktails, and they just let DJs rip just house, Latin house, disco. Obviously, when you're there playing like bass house, but it's just a good vibe, just like a small, intimate, dark room.
Yeah.
That is so dope.
It's one of the only places in Nashville that you can go and know that the DJ is going to be doing something cool.
Yeah. 100%.
Not that the DJs in Nashville aren't cool, but we're not always allowed to do cool shit.
Yeah.
And at Daisy's, they let us do cool shit.
And you're not going to hear the same top 40 shit that you're hearing at every single spot. You're going to get good, upbeat, just remixes of shit, house, Latin, all that kind of stuff. Like when I was there, I think I probably touched on fucking 5-6 different genres.
You did New Year's there, didn't you? Or no, you did Halloween.
I did Cinco de Mayo, and it was the tits because
that's probably
it's
insane.
a fucking tequila bar on Cinco de Mayo, and it was nonstop busy the entire night. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Yeah.
Nothing but praise to Daisy's. I love that place.
And their drinks are fucking great.
the
too.
drinks are strong.
Yeah.
If you want to have a good night, go in there and have two.
I had,
and
dude.
you
I
know.
used to get like 2 cocktails when I first started DJing there.
Yeah.
I had to switch to just a beer, man. I was
Yeah.
like, I was getting fucked up. So I do every Friday at 5, like 5 to 8:30. It's like, it's this really lovely time slot, you know, that like doesn't exist. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I make my money and I'm done at 8:30 if I want to be out of here. But yeah, there was a couple times where I had another gig at 9 and I would just have these 2 cocktails, man. And I would just be like borderline fucking drunk when I started my next set.
Yeah. I've had some close calls in there.
You may or may not have broken a CDJ.
I did. That was not a drunk mistake, though. That was just a Matt mistake. It was my first drink.
Totally different.
It was like 10 p.m. I had just started. It was my first drink, but it was in a little martini glass, and it has like a little base at the bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pro tip: bartenders do not serve cocktails in fancy glasses
Martini glasses
to
to
Yeah, give me that shit in a solo
DJs.
cup. That's all I
Yeah,
need.
no,
like-
literally. Give me a solo cup.
Yeah.
Give me I don't even know. But I like went to pick it up, and the base of it was caught under the CDJ, and it just tipped.
Oh.
And it tipped onto the deck. The deck immediately just turned off. I don't know if anybody from Pioneer is listening. Why are CDJs not weather resistant? Aren't they like the industry standard for music festivals?
Oh yeah.
You like accidentally spit on a CDJ, but when you're talking, and it'll turn off. They're like so, but it turned off. Luckily, I had my controller with me that night. Yeah, bad night. I'm still paying I bought him a new CDJ.
Yeah,
I'm
that
still paying
CDJ
him.
that got wet, by the way, we sent in for repair in
April?
February. It's
Yeah.
still not ready.
Yeah, it's still not.
As of today, August 15th.
Chip shortage.
So for a place like Pushing Daisies, where it's just kind of a perfect place for you to play not only your own music, but just kind of that vibe, is that somewhere that you kind of aim to fill out your schedule, or somewhere that you kind of look to branch off and build new nights like around that?
I would say that Pushing Daisies would be if I could play there 4 nights a week,
Yeah.
I would probably do that.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't getting paid as much as somewhere else, I would probably do that because it's somewhere that like I go in, I am excited every time. And every time when I finish a set, I'll call my wife and she'll be like, "Oh, how was it?" I'm like, "Oh my God, as usual, I had the best time."
Yeah.
You know, I have never left there feeling bummed out or like
Yeah.
anxious about what I just did. Every time it's just like, that was fucking awesome.
And you get to play a bunch of your own.
Yes.
I mean, is that where, when you were talking about earlier, how somebody came up and
Yeah.
and was like, that was at
Yeah,
Pushing
that
Daisies?
was Pushing
Yeah.
Daisies. And oddly enough, that girl is a DJ in LA and she has a show on Pitbull's Globalization channel and she premiered my song, you know, like a week before it came out.
fuck yeah.
on that channel.
Yeah.
So like, yes, Daisies is like the place for me.
Yeah.
I would live there if I could, for sure.
So how do you guys go about balancing music production life and DJing life and
Man.
trying to, yeah.
I do. I don't think Matt does that right now.
So in an ideal world, it would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm DJing. Sunday, I'm resting. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm producing.
Yeah.
So, but even still like that, where if you're trying to work on new music, like I find it hard enough right now just working on new music
Yeah.
and just digging for new songs, stuff that I'm going to play in my sets for the upcoming weekend. Where then if I'm thinking personally, oh shit, now I got to add on producing stuff, making my own songs, making new remixes, making new edits that I'm either going to put out myself or that I want to play in my sets. That's a whole nother hours and hours and hours that you got to put into your schedule.
So as far as music curation goes, for me, I keep a running list on my phone. Anytime I hear a new song or a song that I'm interested in or something that somebody recommends to me, I will put it on my phone. If it's on Spotify, I'll just add it to a playlist. But if it's not, if it's like a SoundCloud remix or something, I'll just add it to my reminders. And then usually on Thursdays before my 6 p.m. set, I will go and get all of those from the week. So I just kind of keep a running list every week. And then I'll go and download all of them. And I may or may not play them. Like I got all the new Travis Scott. I haven't really played much of it, but I have it, you know. And then I'll get remixes that I'll like rip the night of. So that's kind of how I go about my curation. I try to keep it like very streamlined, and I have my crates already kind of set up in a way where I don't have to create a new crate. just drop it into a crate wherever it needs to go. And it's pretty easy there for me. And then I'll just export my sticks, every Thursday. And it's kind of just like part of my work day for Thursday. But as far as like music production, you're right. It's like when you're brain fried, like from DJing 30 hours a week, the last thing for me, the last thing I want to do is go sit down at a computer and try and do more music.
Yeah.
Like I want to watch TV. I want to go for a walk. I want to go to the pool. Like I just want to relax.
Yeah.
And like, it's funny if someone was listening to this who's like an accountant or like a lawyer who works like 70-hour weeks, they're probably like, what the fuck? These guys literally
Fucking
get paid
30 hours a week, you pussy.
Yeah, like what are you talking about? It's more of like for me, I understand that like what we do isn't like crazy hard. Like realistically, anybody in the world could be a DJ if they tried hard enough.
Yep.
Well, not maybe.
I just think, it's a nonstop creative.
But it's a nonstop creative.
Yeah.
Like you are consistently stimulating your right brain. Yeah. Like you are just, what's the next song I'm going to play? What do the lights look like in this room? What is this? What is that? What are they going to dance to? What are they dancing to?
I saw somebody, maybe it was you that posted, I don't know, but I saw somebody, I was like on Twitter or something, I don't know. It was like, guys, like, I don't think you understand how many decisions a DJ makes
I was literally
in
just
one
going to bring
night.
that up. Yeah.
And it's nonstop. And it's like, first of all, yeah, what am I going to do right now? But then also I'm planning 15 to 20 songs ahead, of like what I think the room is going to be like, what I think is going to be happening, how I think they're going to react to the next 3 songs.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's super draining. It's mentally draining. And then on top of that, you have people hollering at you the whole time. On top of that, you're not going to bed till 5 o'clock in the morning. So like we're not working as many hours, I guess, as a lawyer or whatever, but like,
Yeah.
The emotional and mental drain is so real, and it takes sometimes more than one day off to recover from that. And especially in the creative world, it takes a while to recharge those juices, man.
Yeah.
It's
So then
super
even if
difficult.
you guys take, let's say, a Sunday off, which you're not getting a Sunday off because you end up DJing Sunday anyway. So then let's say Monday you sleep in a little bit.
Right.
Then it's like your internal clock is like, okay, now Monday I need to work on music production.
Right.
Or-
Yeah, there's like this like a rain cloud over my head every day.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm like, man, like, my bed feels really good right now, and I would love to just watch a movie and eat some popcorn and chill. But, like, I know that I need to be... Because then, like, you see the guys who aren't playing the club sets every week. Like, there's a lot of guys that are just, like, making their own music and playing their own music and doing 1 hour sets and not getting paid for it. Those dudes have the most fucking drive because they don't have any incentive to, like... They don't care about the money. There is no money in what they're doing right now anyways. So, like, I'm going to go play a super sick set for a bunch of people who like my music. So those are the guys who can say, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go sit in the studio for 12 hours today and make some crazy-ass tech house song on a Monday so I can play it at this event that I'm playing in 3 months. And they have, like, a 9-to-5 job. So they get off their job, they go work on music.
Right.
Yeah.
For us, it's like, oh, man, I just DJ'd all weekend and I don't feel like doing any more music today. So, like, my drive is, like, super diminished, but then I also have this like rain cloud over my head that's like, you need to work on music because there are guys who do this every day.
Right. Well, and that's just kind of where I've like, I tell you all the time, like, I think one of the keys to succeeding if you want to be a DJ and a producer or just a DJ or just anything in life really is like putting up boundaries. Like there was a period of time where I was DJing 6 nights a week.
Yeah, where you
and
just
I was
drained.
making so much fucking money, but I was just sad all the time and like kind of depressed. Like I had to go into this fucking club 6 nights a week. And it was fun or whatever, but like I wasn't doing anything productive. I was DJing. I was like 33 or something at the time, just like DJing 6 nights a week and that's it. But then I was like, you know what, how about I'm going to stop doing Sundays. I put a hard stop on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And just that in itself was like the best thing that I've ever done. Because I get this whole day off with my wife. We have a wonderful day together, whatever. And then Monday, she goes to work. I'm ready to make music. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling charged up. Mm-hmm. I recommend to everyone, stop working Sundays.
That's what one thing Mike has always like really emphasized is like life self-help will like really show in your professional career. Mm-hmm. Like Mike will not hang out with anybody ever. Don't even text him and ask him to after like 4 p.m.
On any day?
Any day.
Yeah.
we maybe can make some plans sometime.
Maybe, but it has to
like,
be like 6 months in advance, and he has to like put it on his calendar and ask Kendall if it's okay. But they don't have
The
their video
schedule
game
book goes
night.
out far.
Shout out Kendall. I love Mike's wife, by the way. Kendall's
she's
fucking
cool as
amazing,
fuck.
dude.
She's cool as fuck.
Well,
and she's
I-
really supportive of like when I decided to quit my job and like DJ full time.
Yeah.
She's like was super supportive. She could see that like that the full time job was like kind of draining me and was not fulfilling me. And yeah, like I think that's like a secret to like success for a lot of DJs too is partners that are supportive of what you do.
Dude, just in general, even if it's not a partner, just having like Mike is kind of like a person who's
He's
just
your
supportive.
partner?
He's my
Yeah.
We'll see where the podcast goes, but no, but just like having somebody who is like supportive of what you're doing. They don't have to, you don't have to necessarily love bass house to support.
I just think
an
as long as
artist.
they understand like what you're doing and what the work takes, like what it takes for you to do that, is a huge thing where they understand, hey, you need to take this much time to do this. You're going to be not talking to me for this many hours while you work on this. Instead of like, oh, if you go and just go into your cave and start producing for 4 hours and they're like, what the fuck? Why isn't Matt answering me?
Right.
Because that just puts more stress on you where you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And then it's just like this whole ball of shit. Because like then you're like, oh, now I can't even think about working on music. It's like, just surrounding yourself with like positivity and people who like just like, appreciate what you do. It's been really important for me. It's one thing that I've like really had to lean into is like, who are your real friends and who are the people who actually are gonna like be there when you are putting music out and you are trying to do what your dream is. Like
and also people that are there when you're not doing anything, you're depressed as fuck, and like what you're doing has nothing to do with music. Like you need a friend that's like just gives a shit about you.
Yeah, somebody watch a movie
like,
with you and chill.
Somebody that likes your music or like supports your music. Somebody that likes to do the same shit that you do, and somebody that'll be honest with you.
Right. I think this is like something that's not talked about a lot in the DJing scene. It's because like we're seen as these like party guys who just go. Like at any given point, if you walk into a bar and you see the DJ, you expect him to be lit, taking shots, throwing money, whatever it might be. But like there's like this stigma built up about us that we just like don't have emotions. We don't like have a bed to go to at night. Like we're just like life is a party.
Yeah.
And I think, there are certain people that are like really well known, who I won't name, that kind of like push that as their like MO. Like, oh, life is a bender. Like I'm just here to party, whatever.
He's talking about John Summit.
Yeah.
I'm talking about John
Clearly.
Summit. And I just don't fuck with
He
that.
literally said life is a bender.
Yeah,
I'm, like,
like
I'm pretty sure he has
He's
merch.
got that shit trademarked, man.
That shit is I like John Summit's music, and I think he's a great DJ, but that's like not sustainable. And
You
like,
know what's crazy though is so that's one of the things that I was going to actually touch on because he in Chicago where he came up, the majority of DJs, I saw it on Strategies podcast, one of my good homies from Chicago who lives in Houston now, talked about how coming up in Chicago, like he had no fucking idea who John Summit was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden blew up from production. And he talked about how different it would have been if John Summit would have got into like the club scene in Chicago.
Yeah.
And how he thinks that he made such a good choice, or whoever told him to make this choice, or if it just happened organically, to not get into club DJing and just put all his energy and focus into that production.
Yeah.
Because he thinks, especially in Chicago, where they have such like a close-knit service industry, that if he would have just started DJing in clubs, and especially with how much he parties and drinks, that it would take away so much from his music production, which just goes into what we're talking about exactly right now of how to balance that DJing side of things and the music production side of things, where if he would have been DJing at Prism and Tao and all those nightclubs there, how much would it have taken away from his production work? And would he have blown up like he did? And it's just kind of crazy to think about where he forewent the playing in clubs to stay at home and work on that music, and now he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
So
I do appreciate like club DJing as far as like a technicality goes. Like I can this sounds arrogant and it's not supposed to, but I think most club DJs can out DJ guys who have only ever played festivals, have only ever
100%.
played a set that has been curated for a week and they've rehearsed it with their LD and everything is
Yeah.
choreographed, and they know the next song that's going to be played every time, the same transitions every night. I mean, there's nights where I will play songs that I have never heard before.
I mean, I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So I do appreciate that I have had exposure to the club scene, and I enjoy it. Personally, I think it's fun to, I look forward to Friday nights. I look forward to going and playing at Whiskey Row, and I got lights and fog and a video wall and all that fun stuff. Yeah. But I do think you're right there, where it's like you do have to have that balance, because you can get really caught up in, okay, I play at Whiskey Row every Friday, and this is where I play, and I make my living off of it, and I'm happy doing that, and that's what I'll be, is a DJ who plays at Whiskey Row until I retire.
Which is totally fine, but it just like depends on what your aspirations are. Like if you just want to be like the DJ guy that makes great money, and you think you can, if you have enough years in your life in your youth, because I mean, this is a young man's game. If you think that you can make enough money to survive by doing that, do it by all means, But I think of guys like Matt and I, who are, we have aspirations beyond, local DJing. We have aspirations to be artists and to get our music out into the world. I think it's really important to not to get caught up in the rat race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there is so much opportunity here to make money. However, like it's not necessarily the right opportunities to propel myself and yourself, to the next level. So I know me personally, I know Matt as well. Like we're both, working pretty hard on getting into some new markets, if that means losing out on, $1,500 worth of work in a few days to go try out a new city. I think it's imperative to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really depends on everybody's individual path too, because some people live, weekend to weekend. I know a lot of DJs who are like, I have to get a gig this weekend because I have to pay my rent. Yep. And if that's the case, then that's where you're picking up those shitty brunch sets, and things that you might not necessarily want to do, but you need to do them to get paid. But I think that as you kind of progress, and you have to kind of like what you were saying, you have to kind of weigh what is your end goal. Yeah. If your end goal is to be a DJ and to just DJ clubs, hell yeah, do that. And there's ways to go about that. There's no right or wrong way to go about any of it. But for us, it's I want to make sure that I make it known that I'm very, very grateful for all the sets that I have, because I do play a lot of sets a week. I play 6 or 7 sets a weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for that. And if I didn't want to be doing that, I wouldn't, in general. But I also do want to eventually shift focus from being the guy who's booked all the time to being the guy who's playing maybe 3 or 4 a month, but they're sick. And my music's coming out and I'm doing interviews and that kind of stuff. More of the artist's route than the club guy, club DJ. Because at the end of the day, you can be amazing and your music can be amazing, but when Becky from Pennsylvania walks into Whiskey Row on a Friday night, she doesn't give a fuck who you are or what you're doing. Yep. She just doesn't. She wants to have her cowboy hat on and hear Shania Twain. So,
and that's the crux, man. We make a lot of money in Nashville, but with good money comes big problems and issues and things that you have to deal with. It's not easy. I think a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, you're a DJ, that's dope, man. That's got to be so fun, and it is. It's totally fun. But it's not all pros, There are tons of cons.
Do you think that the club culture in Nashville is better than the club culture in Milwaukee, Chicago area, or what is your take? Because I would think that Chicago club culture is probably pretty intense.
Chicago club, are we talking club culture as in just everything bars, or bottle service, club?
Just places that you have experience in DJing.
Club culture in Chicago is better.
Yeah.
I think nightlife as a whole right there is better. Milwaukee, there is a limited amount of clubs. You have Lucid, you have 720, you have a couple others, but the main ones are going to be Lucid, 720, and then Bodega. Chicago, you have a bunch that are huge, from Joy District to Prism to... El Jefe still, to Tao, to everywhere else. There's so many of them. And me personally, I think that Chicago is so much more closely knit as far as service industry goes. Where here, I think places are a little bit more separated and they kind of view each other as competition.
Yeah, right.
Which then kind of tears the industry apart.
It seems like a lot of places they really click together, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like we're cooler than like this club.
Yep.
Like our club is brand new, and we're so much cooler.
or like
than this
won't
other
even ever
club.
go to that other spot
Yeah.
just because they're just like, oh, we
Yeah,
don't like it.
Yeah.
The sense of community there is almost like non-existent. Like
Yeah.
now, you want to talk about like the community within each bar? Like,
Mm-hmm.
cool, man. You got 50 or 60 people at each club that are just going to support each other and love each other. But that's not true.
Yeah.
Community.
I think here, as far as like bottle service and stuff too, there's a limited amount of places that actually do bottle service.
Yeah.
The rest
Well,
are
that's
all
a new
kind of
thing.
like bar honky
Yeah.
tonk. Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, bottle service.
Well, you can't even really do it. It still is. I
It is
mean-
illegal, but there's these like. I don't really know
Workarounds.
exactly. I don't really know exactly how
it's
they
still
work around
not
it,
like
but-
they bring the bottle out and then they just pour it out in shots.
Yeah, they pour it in shot. Yeah.
Whereas I feel like so many people in Chicago, like tourists or just big money ballers, like they like taking the pictures with the bottles. They like walking around with the bottles in their section, where it's like you can't even do that there.
Yeah.
Here, your shit is poured out into a shot, and then that's it.
Right.
So I think that kind of helps the nightlife element, like the club element in those cities, because you can get more of like a image for your section too.
yeah.
But I think that it's coming here for sure, because one, I know Bottle Blonde is gonna come correct with how they run their shit, because I DJ'd at Bottle Blonde in Chicago. I've been to the one in Houston. They're amazing with how they do their parties. Barstool here, same kind of concept. They have the Barstool in Arizona, they got the Barstool in Chicago and Philly, and now here, the one here has been a beast too.
Yeah.
And they're just taking those experiences from other spots. I think Whiskey Row, same kind of thing, where they're in that family with Riot Hospitality, where they have an El Jefe, they have Whiskey Row, they have their other spots where they know how to do nightlife, which is why I think like bottle service wise, they do very well here too.
Right.
So, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's Nashville is just such like a different kind of city where it's just nonstop busy, but I feel like the majority of people aren't coming to Nashville to like pop bottles. They're coming here to just go and be in a bar,
Right.
honky tonk,
Yeah.
and just like drink some beers and shit.
Yeah.
So as far as like making the transition to become more of like a nightlife centered city, I think it'll change with a couple of these other places opening, and then we'll make some of these other venues change how they do it too.
That was kind of one thing that you and Nesh were talking about.
Yeah.
Was you saying like Nashville's starting to kind of become an epicenter for nightlife, and it wasn't always that way. It was more of like the honky tonk spot.
Yeah.
It was usually like what Miami, Chicago, Vegas. Those are like your nightlife club scenes, which I think is cool for us as DJs, because we're already kind of established in the city, and so we're gonna be able to be kind of figureheads in how that nightlife progresses. Versus, if we move to Vegas tomorrow, we're just kind of like little guys, and we kind of do what they tell us to do and what has always worked for them. That's one thing I love about whiskey. I mean, I keep praising Whiskey Row, but I feel like I'm a part of the culture of the nightlife there. I don't feel like I'm just there clicking buttons.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm there. Like they rely on me to make sure that the night goes well. Like if they want a crazy bottle drop, they're gonna be like, hey, do you have a song like that you could do? Maybe we could like dress the girls up like this, and it could be this theme, or what do you think? And like, I'm a part of, helping curate that, which I think is just so cool. Because at the end of the day, it all goes back to what you were saying. Like, DJs are supposed to be curators. Like, that's
Yeah.
our job. Our job is to curate a vibe and curate a room and make sure that people are feeling a certain vibe or feeling a certain emotion or feeling a certain way in that room. So in some places it might be scared or dark or scary, like dubstep places, the caverns, for example. Like that, the whole vibe in the caverns is like freaky, creepy shit.
I still need to go there.
I've never been either,
Yeah.
but it's just, but it's a cave. Like I'm in a cave, I'm tweaking.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on in here? And then there's places that are like, like 1230 Club, where it's like this upscale vibe, And our job as a DJ is to curate that room to a T. And I think, honestly, most of the guys that I know in this city do a really, really good job at that. I have never seen, like, I mean, I've seen DJs that I'm like, oh, maybe work on that a little bit more. I'm not the gatekeeper of DJing. I don't fucking care if you're good or bad. It's whatever. But I think a lot of the guys that are doing, every single night are good as hell at what they do.
Yeah.
I was just telling a friend of mine the other day that I think that in terms of just like talent and mixing ability, the bar is so high in Nashville. I think like the top 5 DJs in Nashville could probably cut up with the top DJs anywhere in the world.
You don't think so?
No.
Really?
I think you go to Chicago and you guys would just be blown away.
From a technicality standpoint or from an overall, just overall
Both.
DJing? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you listen
You go pop into my homie Rate Wonder's Twitch live streams and then tell me if you
I mean, I know
and then
who
tell me
he
if
is
you agree.
prior to coming here.
Yeah.
But I also think like, man, you get those Cali DJs, you get New York, Miami, Chicago,
Yeah.
and then compare them to people in Nashville, and I don't think that it would be that close.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I know that like, you go to New York and you got like a lot of great turntablists and like guys who are just, but I guess the reason that I went down that road with Mike was because it all comes kind of back to like, we don't have the opportunity to not think on our feet here. You go to Chicago, I say this with not a lot of experience behind it, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like you stood in line for fucking 2 hours to get in this bar and you spent $40 to get in. Mm-hmm. You're not leaving. So
Yeah,
I
you're
can
gonna
play
stay there.
fuck shit the entire night and you're just going to stand there and get lit. Versus here, like you're not paying a cover charge and most of the lines aren't crazy long.
And you've got 40 other places
And
to
there's
choose
40
from.
other places to choose from on that same street. You don't even have to get an Uber. You just literally walk to the next bar.
But here's my thing. I think literally exactly what you said, how many people bar hop here makes places nonstop busy and the crowd is flipping every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you play. And that's where I think it like almost hurts DJs here because they'll play whatever the fuck they want and their crowd's going to get refreshed in 30 minutes.
Right.
And it doesn't hurt them that they would essentially, like, if they played that same thing in a different city, would clear out a room.
Yeah.
But here in Nashville, they get a whole nother crowd and just stay busy.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
then to
A whole
them
new
in
crowd
their
that didn't
head,
just hear that terrible 30-minute segment.
exactly. And like to them in their head, they're like, oh, this is I'm killing it playing what I am, playing like the shit that I want to play.
Yeah.
Where they don't even realize they just made 30 people leave. And
That is true.
it just like filled right back up. And I get like, I feel like for the most part, places here like on a weekend, like they're just fucking nonstop busy
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a Saturday night set in the city. Even at like the
Yeah.
most nobody knows bars, there's gonna be somebody there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've played many of nights where I'm playing at bars that nobody goes to, and I'm just playing the right shit, and then the one person shows up, and all of his friends come.
Yep.
And then before you know it, somebody posted on Instagram, "Yo, this place is popping right now. You've got a full room."
Yeah.
I won't name the place, but it's a place I used to play every weekend. And I remember there was one Saturday night that a bachelor party came in, just coked off their ass. And they were everything I played. I played everything for them. I played like AC/DC into like Subtronics. And they were like, this is holy shit. And like,
Because they are the crowd that
they
you're
were
playing to.
lit. And
Yeah.
I held them for long enough to where more people would come up and be like, oh my God, it's super lit up here. And then more people would come up and then
Mm-hmm.
those locals would show up and be like, yo, y'all got to get over here. Like it's jumping right now. And then before you know, you've got like 400 people in front of you. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, there's 10 when I walked in.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
Then that's a reason in itself. Like I know a lot of times, like if it's a slow night or whatever, like it's hard to be motivated to like to work hard. But like that's like the one bit of advice that I've told every young DJ that's trying to get into it is whether there's 5 people there or 1,000 people there, you have to give it everything you've got and do a killer job. I'll never forget, man. There was one night at Nashville Underground. It was like 2018, 2019. It was like 5 people there. I was just in a bad mood. And I was just kind of like, whatever. I was very much whatever DJing, just kind of like I wasn't really into it. Well, then I found out that there was a guy there from Ultra that had come to see me play.
Crazy.
And I didn't find that out for a couple days. And I blew it.
Really?
See, I feel like in a city like this, like you never know, especially in a music city like this, where it could be whoever's artist manager or whatever artist themselves that might be looking for a tour DJ. You never fucking would have any idea that they're even in the room, or somebody like that could be booking for a festival.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just
And-
assume that every person that I talk to is important.
Yeah.
That's just like the mentality I've taken. Even if it's Becky from Pennsylvania and her cowboy hat, you never know.
Yeah.
She could be some crazy trust fund baby whose daddy has a jet who wants me to come play his yacht club. And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
got it.
You never know who you're talking, especially at places like Daisy's, because like there's a lot of VIPs that come into Daisy's.
Yeah.
Actually, in fact, there was one night at Daisy's. It was like a little bit slower, but I had learned my lesson years ago about never just like faking or half-assing it. And I was like sending it. And this girl on her way out with a group of people, she's like, "Hey, I really enjoyed your set. Can I follow you on Instagram?" I'm like, "Yeah, totally." Like, I give her my Instagram, whatever. I get home that night and I'm like, "Oh, I wonder who this person is." Well, it's fucking Beyonce's background singer.
That's insane.
The fuck.
That's
And
insane.
like here we are now, we're chit chatting. Like I'm sending her some demos to like cut some vocals on. Like,
So we're 1 degree of separation away from Beyonce, basically. That
Basically,
if you-
we know her.
If you clip anything in this, clip
Yeah.
that we're 1 degree of separation away from Beyonce.
like we're
basically
basically
friends.
best
Yeah.
friends.
I
at
call her
this
B.
point.
You know her as Beyonce.
Yeah. Oh, Queen Bee? Yeah. That's just my girl, B. Yeah. No, but it's insane because you literally never know who's going to walk in to any venue here at all. Like, it's just, I mean, last week I had a bunch of the Titans players just all pulling up, and
Yeah.
then you don't know who you're going to get introduced to, where it's like, hey, they might need a DJ for their charity event, where it's like, that's the kind of shit that I've done in Milwaukee and in Green Bay, where you get introduced to the right person that is listening to you at the right time. Then all of a sudden they want you to do their event or their wedding or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
And opens up doors.
Opens up
I
so
would-
many doors.
I would think here, especially, like, you get heard by the right person, that could lead to going on tour with them. Or
Absolutely. And that's a big thing about Nashville that I've always felt like is a really cool thing, because it's such a tourist town. We're basically playing to a fresh crop of 500 or 600 new people every
weekend.
single week.
Who have
Yeah.
never seen us.
I've never seen you play.
it's fucking insane.
There was this one venue that I played at, and everybody complained about this one DJ that he always played the exact same set every weekend. Now, it was lit. It was packed at capacity every weekend. The dude fucking crushed it. But it got to the point where the bartenders were like, "Oh, he's playing no hands. It must be 12:53." And like they looked, I'm like, right on time. But I was telling them, like, guys, like, who cares?
It doesn't
because
fucking matter.
none of these are
Yeah.
repeat customers. If he's
Yeah.
got a set that fucking works, let him rip
More
the set
power
that
to the
works.
entire
Like,
bar.
See, that's where it's different, where you can't do that shit in like Milwaukee or Chicago
No.
because it's all the
Right.
same. Like, if I'm DJing in Milwaukee, I'm seeing the exact same people every weekend.
Yeah.
Same thing with Chicago. Like, I'll go to Chicago and I would only play there like once every couple months, and I would still see the same people there.
Right.
Where it's like, I've been here a year now. I fucking think I see the same person at one single venue. It's that dude that dances all the time.
Yeah.
At Whiskey Row.
Love him. Shout out Brian.
Brian,
If
that's
you
his
know,
name.
you know.
Yeah.
Brian's at Whiskey Row.
But like, aside from that, like, that's the only regular that comes in. Every single other person is a person I'm gonna see once and never fucking see again.
Yeah.
So technically, yeah, you could fucking, if you know that set crushes, why the fuck not? If that's what's gonna bring in people
Yeah.
to spend money,
I don't love
I
that.
would hate it as a DJ.
I don't love that mentality because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, you're if you're just there for fucking money and like
Yeah.
you just
I would hate myself
Well,
playing.
this guy
Yeah.
in particular has no aspirations to be a DJ.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like,
he was just doing it for money.
he's like an incredible producer.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what he does.
yeah. For me, it's like I would get so fucking bored. I'd
Yeah,
be like,
totally.
oh my god, I don't want to play the same transitions over and over
Yeah.
and over. So I'm just too ADHD to do that. Like,
Yeah.
even on nights where I'm doing something similar to that, where I'm like getting into a routine. Like I have like a 125 routine where I go from like pop to house.
Yeah.
Every night I play the same routine. It's like Dua Lipa, Dynamite, like a little bit of Pitbull. Just kind of gets you into that Boots and Cats vibe. Even every now and then I'll
Boots and
throw in
Cats.
some random just out of pocket song. Like just some, like I played "Slut Me Out" in the middle of that last week because I was like, I'm bored. Here's some hip hop.
Just sprinkle it in there. Yeah. People are going from Dua Lipa to they're like, what the fuck?
Slut me out.
They're like, all right, cool. I like it. But
I should do a disco "Slut Me Out."
Top tracks of the week, huh?
yeah. Yeah, speaking of that, let's get into what you guys are playing.
Yeah,
what
man.
are some of your favorite tracks? It can be stuff that you guys are playing out right now in the club, what you're listening to outside of DJing. So let's say your ride over here, what you're listening to, stuff that you guys listen to when you're working out, anything like that.
Oh, working out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys look like you stay in shape.
Oh my god, dude! I'm a string bean. I need to start lifting weights. I'm like withering into just like a fucking skeleton. Man, there's this cat in UK. His name's Ben Gamori. He's a great kind of like Afro house, kind of like Jack in the House, funky dude. It's got it's an amazing rework of this African track. It's called "Enjoy Your Life." Just came out this week. It's just like the best vibe, coolest vibe. And I'm sorry, Ben, I'm on your dick right now. He's got another track coming out next week, or it might even be this week, called Chin Chin Boom. And they've both been huge staples in my sets lately.
Okay.
Just like fantastic groove. Y'all got to go check them out. Ben Gamori.
How'd you come across this guy?
So it's really, really weird, man. My wife's best friend and him dated.
Okay.
We were married for a while. But I remember my wife was like, hey, we're going to go on vacation with this couple. Like, I think you might get along with this guy. This is like 10 years ago. And we met and we're like, oh yeah, like we're both DJs. Like we both kind of like dig house music. It was like this really weird thing, you know, like we ended up just becoming really good friends after that. And just like to be so randomly like from across the world, you know what I mean? Like our girls just happened to be friends and we became friends. It's cool. He's got a great label called Monologues Records. Definitely check it out. It's all grooves, man. All grooves. It's so sick.
Mega grooves.
Yeah.
Fits into his sets. There we go.
Yeah. I tell him all the time, I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I hate to be on your dick, but like I played like 3 of your songs last night.
Yeah.
It's cool. There's also a couple other producers. Murphy's Law. There's actually another Murphy's Law. It's this hardcore band from New York City. But this is Murphy's Law UK. Amazing rework of Ain't No Other Man. I've been rinsing it so hard. It's so sick. And then LF System, probably one of the biggest like disco house groups in the world right now. We've got 2 tracks, Afraid to Feel and Hungry for Love, that are just like, they have these tempo changes in the middle of the songs. Like as they get into like the original song that they sampled from, like it'll kind of like shift from like 126, kind of like slowly ramp down to like the original tempo, like 110 or something like that. And it's just like the coolest dynamic when I play these songs live. And it'll be like just kind of like and it'll like kind of speed up and it's just like you know, it kind of like gets back up to fast. It's just like such a cool groove. In fact, I have this new song that I was like telling Matt, I was like, dude, I got to figure out this slow down thing.
How to go through like a tempo
like
change.
How to
mid-song.
get this tempo change properly.
Yeah.
Drake
And
fucking
then, like,
does that shit
and then
all the
one
time.
day, like,
I know Drake. Every song that I have, all those doubles tempo songs,
Yeah.
I put in parentheses after the song name what it goes from to what it's
Yeah,
going to,
yeah.
so I can beat match out of it. Because I'll be like, this is not 155. Like,
yeah, dude. Yeah,
jogging the shit out of the
It's smart though, because I mean, you think of even a song like that, it's basically like 2 separate songs in one.
Yeah. And then kind of like comes back. It comes back around. But yeah, I've got this new tune called Nightcrawlers that I was like, I figured it out. And it's like, it's pretty sweet. It's getting mixed right now by this fire cat in Brooklyn. It goes by
right.
Wev. He's so good. He put out a track last year with A-Track. And it's just like, this is a groove, man. So yeah, let's also check out Wev from Brooklyn.
And then that's going to be your new song too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's good. It's
Yeah.
really good. I'm a little bit more basic than Mike. Mike knows all these cool like underground guys.
LF System is not underground. They probably
Yeah.
have like 2 million monthly listeners. Or
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Frox is a guy. I've really been fucking with him lately, and Michael Sparks. But I've been on like some really aggressive shit lately. I don't know why. I've been listening. I've got my list right here. I got Trampoline, the Jaws remix. I don't know why this song has now come back into my life because I remember when it came out in 2019, but it's so good, and I play it every night. and I love it, and it's fun and intense. A little bit of Wax Motif, ISO XO is great. Knock 2, Eurotrash. I just like Eurotrash's voice. It's kind of sexy.
And the name.
And the name
Yeah.
is sick. It's just a great vibe. No Thanks, FOMO. There's also like Nostalgics and Chill and all the Taking New Light, all those guys. I'm a huge bass head. If I'm not listening to house music, I'm listening to a lot of Baby Keem, a little bit of Kendrick. I've been on a Radiohead kick lately.
Do you listen to new Travis Scott?
Listen to new Travis Scott. Wasn't a huge fan of all of it.
There's 2 songs off it that I've been.
Fiend goes pretty crazy.
Yeah, I like Meltdown, but
Meltdown's
Meltdown
good.
is the same kind of thing where it's like how Drake's been doing it, where it's at 56 and then goes to 80 for like part 2 of the song.
Yeah.
That second part goes hard, so I just have been playing just the second part.
Yeah.
And the Topia Twins
Okay.
too
Yeah.
is a good one.
Yeah, shout out my homie Gibson Parker. I always want to shout him out. He's out in LA doing
No relation to OMG Parker.
no relation at all, but he's nuts. Bass house guy, just bass tech, all sorts of house stuff, but really good. He's got some songs out with my other homie Goddess. She's a DJ in the city. She's killing it. Super badass housey stuff. She's got a crazy cool voice too. So check them out. And then my own music too. I got a self plug. All Day came out last month, 2 months ago. It's 2 months ago, huh?
Yeah,
2 months ago.
June 29th.
2
yeah.
months. So stream all day while you're sleeping. Just put on repeat. Just stream it. Just do your thing. And I've got some new stuff in the works. A song called Jacuzzi. I'm gonna tease this. I'm gonna finally tease it.
Jacuzzi is hot, dude. It's so fucking
Jacuzzi
good.
is my baby.
How long
and-
have you been working on that?
Oh, it's been done.
for
It's
a-
been done. but
done for like a
Really?
year.
I'm so scared to put this song out because I love it. It's the first time I've ever like finished a song and been like, it's perfect. Nothing needs to be done to it in my head.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's amazing. So I'm excited to put that out. Song with Cisco is coming
Yeah.
out soon.
What's it called? You guys have a name
it's
for
called?
it?
Make You Mine.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ask your manager.
Yes, good job. You did good.
It's called
You
Make.
did good
I was like,
there.
fuck, what is it called? Yeah, Make You Mine. That one's coming out. Me
Do
and
you
Mike.
have dates for any of these yet or no?
We do, but I don't want to drop the date
Yeah,
yet.
it's
'cause
all it's all kind of pending.
Yeah.
We're
Are you pitching it to labels and
Yeah,
stuff?
we're kind of
Okay.
determining whether we're pitching it, but
Yeah.
we might just self-release.
But
Oh.
you can think the fall, September, October, November.
sometime this fall.
Yeah, sometime.
Well, this
fall.
will come out September 6th. So
Okay.
we still got a while until
Oh,
this
cool.
even comes out. So
Yeah.
that's perfect because
Perfect.
hopefully it'll come out
around
shortly
yeah,
after
I
that or
love it.
something like that.
And I'll
So-
say, if anybody wants to get down with my funky disco house vibe, I've got this great playlist that I made. It's literally just called Funky Disco House. You can come find me on Spotify, MGR Mike. It's kind of my home for I'll occasionally go through and see like what's the songs that I've played the most this year.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of add them
Add
on
'em.
that playlist.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect representation of like who I am as
Yeah.
a producer and a DJ.
I do the
dope.
same thing. I have a playlist called Dirty Bass 2023, and it's everything that I've been playing. A lot of times when I play a set and I'll play some really obscure bass shit, people are like, "What is that? What is that?" So I'll go ahead and curate that after a set and drop
Yeah.
it in there. So a lot of the stuff that you'll hear me playing on the weekends, you can find on there, unless it's like a weird SoundCloud edit or something like that. But and I'll be curating that every week. So
Well, while you guys are plugging everything, let us know where we can follow you,
Yeah.
socials.
Yeah, socials, you guys can hit me on Instagram, mgr.mike. It's actually really annoying. There's an MGR Mike, and he's like a weird pastor guy in Brentwood, oddly enough.
gotta love it.
So you gotta put that
it's just
dot-
him.
Gotta put that dot in
It's
there,
just his other job.
mgr.mike. I actually played this big show. I don't remember who it was, but like they tagged the pastor
Yeah.
guy. But anyways, yeah, that dot is like super imperative. At MGR Mike on.
We'll
on
have all the
Spotify.
links up so you can just
Yeah.
click on them. You don't got to type it.
Yeah,
type
tight.
it in.
We
so.
love that. And then my final plug is I'm making my New York City debut
Yeah.
on October 26th.
Okay.
Cool little club called Berlin Under A. It'll be a free show. Small club, 150 cap. So come slide through.
Yeah. I'm at OMGPRKR on everything. SoundCloud, Instagram, OnlyFans, whatever you want. You can find me on there. I'm
Got
kidding.
them feet, boy.
Feet pics. I don't have any cool New York shows, but if you're ever in town in Nashville, come see me at Whiskey Row every Friday, 11 to close. And tell me you heard the podcast, and I will buy you a shot.
All right.
It's free for me, but I'll tell you I bought it.
Hey, that could add up to a lot. That tab will get expensive.
But I cannot take the shot.
Yeah.
Because then I'll have another night where I throw my socks at
Stick
people.
to neutrals, man.
Yeah. But at OMGPRKR on everything, and follow me on Instagram.
Cool.
Fuck yeah. I'm almost at 3,000 followers. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Going up.
And
It's because he's running your Instagram.
Yeah, that's why. It's just all bots. It's just all fake accounts.
Yeah, he's just been admin when
Fake
he's
say make it, bro.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to Fake say make it. No, sir.
No, sir.
But awesome. I appreciate you guys for stopping by.
Thanks for having us,
Finally
baby.
getting this done. I know we've been trying for a while.
We did it. Did my mic record this time?
It recorded.
Hey.
My mic didn't.
Yeah.
Holy
No.
shit.
We'll be all
Allegedly,
good.
Mike's mic didn't record last time.
Allegedly. There's no proof.
There's
so,
no. Well, there
aside
is.
from what's
I think I have
What's
a
in my
Dropbox
computer?
link
I have,
to
I have
the
a logic
Yeah.
file of me trying to boost the.
yeah. Aside from our computer and text threads, there's no proof. But I appreciate you guys stopping by, getting on the show. Make sure that you guys are following the platform at the Platform Mix on all socials. Listening to any of the previous shows, they drop every Monday. These are going to be dropping every Wednesday, so stay tuned for more shows. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you like watching or listening on. I'm DJ Dex at DJ Dex MKE. Appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Bliss.
Get off your phone. Say
Oh,
bye.
sorry. Bye.
Check. Mic check. 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?